Divine Comprehension, a dimensional journey begins in Douluo. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226 Sambo's Aunt. It was not until 2 hours later that the lunch finally came to an end. After the meal, Tong said goodbye to this Huohua Yingji and walked towards his treehouse. Not long after, while enjoying the scenery and leisurely walking, Tong slowly came to his residence. After standing downstairs, Tong did not go upstairs, but stood downstairs and shouted, "Everyone come down, we should set off." That's right, Tong had already told his maid team that he was going back to Panyan Village today. Tong did not plan to bring many people, only his little maid and the 3 daughters of Douluo. After all, it would be inconvenient if there were too many people. They went there to help the villagers move, not to demolish the house. As for why they brought a maid team and the 3 daughters of Douluo, of course, it was to show off. They have lived so well these years, can't they go back to the village to show off? Haven't you heard of saying? If you don't return to your hometown in wealth and honor, it's like walking in the night in brocade clothes. Moreover, how can there be no pretense when returning home in glory? You know, when the cousins went home for the new year, they looked so proud that Tong envied them. Now that Tong has the conditions, he must give himself a show. If for nothing else, it is to fulfill his dream. Therefore, the maid team and wife who can best reflect his status are naturally the best choice. Here we go, young master. Hearing Tong's words, the women responded one after another. Then, with a dense sound of da-da-da coming down the stairs, all the maids changed into new clothes and ran down. For a while, the open space under the treehouse instantly became a place where the women gathered with beautiful scenery. Then let's go. Seeing that all the women had come in front of him, Tong also spoke, and then waved his hand and released a soul guide RV. This is the special version of the RV he had prepared for himself. It is not only very defensive, but also luxuriously decorated and very comfortable. The girls had never seen an RV before, so when they saw it, they all looked at it with curiosity. The entire RV is about 4 meters high, 8 meters long, and 3.5 meters wide. Except for the cockpit, the rest of the space is completely a small house. With a design of 2 floors, it is completely a mobile castle. Moreover, the interior space is spacious and bright, which can accommodate all of Tong's party. Afterwards, the girls followed Tong into the RV with amazement. When everyone got on the car started slowly and rushed towards Panyan Village. Tong ignored the girls who were looking around in the RV and curiously observing the layout of the RV. Instead, he looked lazy and rested his head on the legs of Nanguanyun, who was sitting on the sofa with his legs together. Feeling the plump and soft touch from behind his head, Tong sighed comfortably. Then he opened the chat group. In the Dimension chat group, Dragon King spraying water. Dragon King spraying water, so boring. Is there anything fun? Tell me something to cheer me up at all group members. Passerby, you are so free? Do you want to travel together? Dragon King spraying water, no, although I have nothing to do, it does not mean that I want to find something to do for myself. If I go to your place, you will definitely treat me like a beast of burden. Passerby. What about the most basic trust between people? Photographer, the pioneering team has arrived at Balaberg. Photographer, picture, Jeopard, Sambo, Branaya, Kakolia JPG. Photographer, group photo of the pioneer team JPG. Dragon King spraying water, wow, have we actually arrived at your Lilovi? Your pioneering speed is quite fast. Photographer, how can it be fast? We have been in the space station for almost a month. If it weren't for Miss Huda pestering me and asking me to test the simulated universe, we would have arrived at your Lilo a long time ago. Dragon King sprays water, haunting you? Shouldn't it be haunting? Photographer, Alice, when I exchanged some things in the group mall, Miss Huda saw me and has been pestering me ever since. Cute King, is that so? No wonder, maybe it's because she saw something she didn't understand and wanted to learn more about it. Rimuru looked at Senayuki's answer and quickly guessed what Hida was thinking. As a genius, it would be strange if Hida wasn't curious after seeing things from other worlds. It's no wonder that Hida pestered Senayuki. Lazy Angel, hey, who is the girl next to Sambo? She's pretty. I didn't see her in the plot? Photographer, I don't know, maybe it's the butterfly effect. Sambo said that's his ent. Dragon King sprays water, puff, Dragon King sprays water, what the hell? Uncle Coldlegs has an ant? This is really funny. Photographer, I don't know, but looking at Sambo's serious look, it seems like it's true. Dragon King spraying water, Alice, little Sanayu, what can I say about you? Have you forgotten Sambo's identity? He is a masked fool. Can you trust what such a joker says? Dragon King spraying water, I guess this so-called little ant should be the group of jokers in the tavern. Guruli said very confidently that jokers always appreciate each other. At the first sight of this little ant, Guruli determined that this guy is definitely a masked fool. Photographer G, hey, group leader, do you mean that Sambo's little ant is a masked fool? Dragon King spraying water, yes, I am 98% sure. Cheyenne King, interesting, in this case, little Sanayu, you have to be careful, don't be fooled by that group of jokers. Cheyenne King, also, little group leader, Gabriel's angel power has been researched out of the first version, I'll send it to you at Dragon King spraying water. Cheyenne Wang, designated red envelope, Angel Holy Light Drive Engine, group prompt, group owner Dragon King spraying water has received the exclusive red envelope. Dragon King spraying water, thank you Sister Hizai, but the name Cheyenne Wang, the name doesn't matter, the functions are the same anyway, it's just that we are more accustomed to using this naming method, and isn't it more convenient to load this way? Dragon King spraying water, that's good, as long as the functions are the same, then brothers, I will download it first and come back to chat later. After that, Guruli left the chat group with a red envelope. Lazy Angel, no, how long has it been? You have researched out the magic side of things? Isn't it said on the internet that researching cross-domain things is more difficult? Isn't this a bit too fast? Chapter 227 Wolf Bandit Attack. Continued from the previous article, Mo King, actually, it's not that fast. Sister Hexy, as a wealthy person in the group, has been exchanging and studying the cultivation systems of other worlds before you came, and has a deep foundation in the research of metaphysics. Mo King, in addition, the level of technology in their world is very suitable for research. And a few days ago, Wu Tong also awakened the small universe computer martial soul for Hexy, which made Sister Hexy's calculation and deduction ability stronger. Mo King, so, with such powerful hardware in hand, it is normal to be able to study the power of your world during this time. Lazy Angel, Gabriel is a little confused. Is this really normal? Why does she still feel that there is something wrong? Cheyenne King, haha, there is nothing wrong with the speculation, but it is not as simple as you think. I also borrowed the ability of the chat group to thoroughly study the power of Gabriel and other theological angels. Chenshi Zian the ability of the chat group? As far as I know, there is only one ability that the chat group can help with research. The enlightenment space that improves wisdom and understanding? Cheyenne King, that's right, but Gabriel is indeed a theological angel, completely different from us scientific angels. The difficulty of research is really too great. With the help of the enlightenment space, we have thoroughly studied it. Cheyenne King, and after the research, I found that this power is very compatible with angels, so now I have started to update the little angels. Cheyenne King, I believe that after a period of time, the little angels in the mellow heaven will be able to control this power. At that time, our angel civilization will be a real angel clan. Hizai answered everyone's questions while speaking with expectation in his heart. Don't believe the poor young man, enlightenment space? There is such a good thing? Why didn't you say it earlier? Don't believe the poor young man, if I had known that there was this thing, I wouldn't have worked so hard to learn the skills by myself. Seeker, I remember that when the chat group invites people in, all the news will be told to the group members? You didn't receive it? Don't believe the poor young man, what news? Xiao Yan looked confused, and suddenly, something emerged in his mind. Don't believe the poor, could it be the information for joining the group? Seeker, yeah, you didn't read it at all? Don't believe the poor, don't shake the blue lotus, the scheming frog keeps touching your belly JPG. Don't shake the blue lotus, the truth is out. Don't shake the blue lotus, it's your own fault, doghead funny. Don't believe the poor, you can't blame me for this. I was so excited to see the golden finger appear. It's understandable that I didn't read those things in a hurry, right? Don't believe the poor, and that damn thing is more than 100 pages long. It's too troublesome to read it, so I just skipped it. Don't shake the blue lotus, then you are reaping what you sowed. Dragon King spraying water, he. Dragon King spraying water, big brother, not to mention the second brother, aren't you the same? I remember that you didn't read it at the beginning, but later you read it again under the guidance of this group leader. Don't shake the blue lotus, oh, my group leader, please save some face for me. Seeing that Guru Li had exposed him directly, Zhang Chulin's face suddenly turned bitter. It was over. Xiao Yanzi's fun became his own. Seeker, how did you update so quickly? How does it feel to practice science and metaphysics together? Dragon King spraying water, 3 days have passed. It feels so good. It's just practicing together. Guru Li answered Wu Tong's words with a subtle look. Dragon King spraying water, now my strength has reached the peak of the 3rd level. After getting familiar with it for a while, I will surely step into the level of a 4th level strong man. Dragon King spraying water, it's really the most fun to cheat. You can improve without moving. With this kind of power, the early spiritual energy revival will not have any impact on me. Dragon King spraying water, and because of the restraint of the angel holy light on evil, I believe that the spiritual revival in a while will not be a problem for me. Seeker, that's really good news. Congratulations. Xianji King, how about it? You decided to make a deal with me at the beginning, it's not a loss, right? Dragon King spraying water, not a loss, nodding frantically. Wu Tong was overjoyed watching this scene. Sure enough, the fun in the group was the most interesting. However, while Wu Tong was watching the show, things were not peaceful outside the RV. On a mountain not far away, a group of half-human, half-wolf creatures were staring at the RV driving on the road below with cold-blooded and cruel eyes. From time to time, a gleam of light flashed in their eyes, as if they were thinking about something. If Wu Tong could see it, he would definitely recognize this creature at first sight. The Wind Wolf Thief. This creature was born from the hybridization of the Wind Demon Wolf and humans. It is neither human nor wolf, half human and half wolf. It is also regarded as a hybrid of the Wind Demon Wolf and is not recognized by humans. It is said that the Wind Wolf Thief not only has human wisdom, but also retains the cruelty and cold-bloodedness of soul beasts. It has the physique and talent of soul beasts, and is powerful and cunning. They are bloodthirsty by nature, like to rob humans for food, often attack villages, rob villagers, and are extremely cruel. This also makes them an evil race on the chaotic side. Once discovered, they will be cleared out by major forces. But at this moment, nearly 1,000 wolf bandits appeared on the mountain, blocking Wu Tong's only way. Roar, a wolf bandit who was taller and more powerful than the other wolf bandits saw Wu Tong's RV driving into a small canyon. He roared, and his soul power was agitated. The invisible wind turned into a streamer visible to the naked eye, wrapping around the leader wolf bandit. Suddenly, his momentum soared, and his strength, defense and speed were greatly improved. Soul Skill, Wind Power Edition. After doing everything, the wolf bandit leader waved his blue wolf-haired big hand heavily, and all the other wind wolf bandits rushed forward. Ao-woo. Countless blue figures received the order and immediately ran towards the target below with excitement. For a moment, the running figures of the wolf bandits turned into a flash of lightning, like thousands of beasts running together. The strong wind driven by the march swept away the dust on the ground and raised a dusty yellow mist. It rushed down the mountain with the momentum of a landslide and tsunami. What's going on? A group of maids heard the wolf's howl and ran to the car window. They immediately saw the rolling yellow fog and the wolf bandits running down. They were a little panicked for a moment. This is the Swift Wind Wolf Bandit. Why are there wolf bandits here? Chapter 228, Killing the Wolf Bandits, Old Carl's current situation. And there are so many of them. What are the forces in charge of this area for? Okay, stop talking, get ready. Wu Tong was awakened by the chattering voices in his ears and immediately left the chat group. What happened? Why is it so noisy? Wu Tong sat up and looked at the group of maids in front of him. Master, on the mountain in front, a group of swift wind wolf bandits suddenly appeared for some reason. Seeing Wu Tong standing up, the girls also calmed down. After looking at each other, a maid started to explain. Wolf bandits? Those guys who are almost killed and exterminated. Wu Tong narrowed his eyes when he heard the maid's words. If it was wolf bandits, it would not be surprising that the girls were so panicked. Once the wolf bandits attacked, they would inevitably rush forward in groups, and they were generally at the level of Soul Venerable and Soul Sect, An ordinary soul kings and soul emperors could not resist. Although the strength of the girls had been trained by Wu Tong, it was not possible to increase much in more than a month, so it was not incomprehensible that they would panic when they saw the Wind Wolf bandits. Alice, it seems that I have to upgrade my little maids. I originally wanted to build a combat maid team, but I didn't expect that after more than a month of teaching, they are still rookies. Forget it, I will give them a chance to cheat later. Wu Tong's mind was flying, but his expression did not change at all. Okay, let me do it. Although your strength has improved, it is still not enough to face so many wolf bandits. It seems that I have to strengthen you after returning, Wu Tong said while waving his hand. In an instant, dozens of space cracks appeared on the road where the wolf bandits were running, surrounding the entire RV and protecting the car inside. Those dozens of dark cracks, as deep as black holes, are like the sickle of the god of death, quietly waiting to harvest the souls of the dead. The wolf bandits also saw these space cracks, and they were shocked and hurriedly controlled their bodies to stop their advance. However, the inertia of running down made it impossible for them to stop, and they could only die one after another. Even if there were wolf bandits who stopped, they would be knocked into the cracks by other wolf bandits chasing behind. In a short while, all the wolf bandits entered one after another like rabbits guarded by hunters, and were all torn into pieces by the space cracks and turned into powder. After the wolf bandits were eliminated, the space cracks seemed to know that their mission had been completed and gradually disappeared in the air. In the end, there was only a piece of dust in front of the RV, proving that the Wind Wolf bandits had been there. Okay, let's go, Wu Tong waved his hand and then said. Seeing this, the girls' eyes all had little stars. Master Wu Tong's demeanor was really handsome. After a small episode, Wu Tong was no longer in the mood to join the chat group. So he accompanied a group of girls, playing and having fun while rushing on the road. Soon, the RV had arrived not far from Panyan Village, and the appearance of Panyan Village was already vaguely visible. In the distance, Wu Tong and the girls could clearly see the scenery in the distance. The mountains were like dark blue, surrounded by clouds and mist, as if it was a cloud ink landscape painting, full of poetry. In the middle of the painting, surrounded by mountains, a small village stood here, with quaint houses scattered in an orderly manner, blending with the surrounding scenery, making this beautiful ink painting more popular. Hey, Uncle Wang, are you going back to eat? In the village, the grown-up Dazhuang smiled at an old man who was walking by. Yes, but Xiao Pang, why are you still so fat? You have to lose weight quickly, Uncle Wang replied with a bundle of dry firewood on his back. After looking at Dazhuang carefully with a pair of slightly turbid eyes, he teased Dazhuang. Well, I want to, but I don't know why, I can't lose weight. Dazhuang was choked and smiled awkwardly. How can I not lose weight? Xiao Pang, let me tell you, losing weight is nothing more than insisting on 2 points. One is to control your mouth, and the other is to move your legs. You usually, okay, I know, Uncle Wang, I have something to do at home, I'll leave first. Seeing that Uncle Wang was about to speak again, Dazhuang interrupted the spell and replied, then ran towards the village in a panic. Uncle Wang is good in every way. He is usually very gentle, cheerful, down-to-earth and hard-working, but he just likes to preach too much, which often makes this group of young people love and hate him. After leaving Uncle Wang, Dazhuang did not return home, but came to the village elder Carl. Grandpa Carl, I'm coming in. After knocking on the door, Dazhuang shouted inside. Ah! It's Xiao Pang, come in, an old but full of energy voice suddenly came from the house. Creak, Dazhuang did not hesitate and pushed the door open and walked in. With a creaking sound, a simple but well-kept courtyard appeared in front of him. The floor paved with bluestone slabs was spotlessly clean. A black puppy saw Dazhuang but did not bark. Instead, it stayed quietly and watched Dazhuang coming. The door of the ordinary wooden house was facing the main door. Dazhuang could see the scene inside the house as soon as he entered. But after entering the door, Dazhuang did not see the figure of old Carl. After looking around in confusion, he finally found the figure of old Carl on the firewood pile next to him. At this time, he was planning to put a bundle of chopped dry firewood on the firewood pile. Seeing this, Dazhuang hurriedly stopped him and said, Grandpa Carl, leave it alone. Just let me do it. Oh, Xiao Pang, I can handle these little things. I'm not old enough yet. When old Carl saw Dazhuang coming to help, he quickly put the dry firewood in his hand on the firewood pile, looked at Dazhuang's helpless expression, and said calmly, but the relief and kindness that flashed in his eyes from time to time showed old Carl's love for Zhuang. "Okay, come in and sit down. It's easy to catch a cold if you stand outside." Old Carl saw Zhuang panting slightly, and knew that he must have run over, so he quickly led him into the house. Zhuang did not resist, and followed old Carl into the house obediently. After entering, old Carl asked Zhuang to sit on the chair, and then he went to make tea for him. When Zhuang saw it, he quickly waved his hand to refuse, but in the end he couldn't resist old Carl's enthusiasm, so he could only reach out and take the teacup from old Carl's hand. Chapter 229, Old Carl's Remembrance, Wu Tong's Return. Continuing from the previous article, however, Zhuang did not rush to drink tea. Instead, he put the tea aside, went forward to help old Carl up, helped old Carl to sit on the bed beside him, and then sat back on the chair beside him. Then, the old and the young chatted about family matters in this simple little house. As they talked, the topic of their chat unconsciously shifted to Wu Tong. "Alice, if I knew this would happen, I shouldn't have let Xia Tong go to the Soul Master Academy. Even if I could spend my life in peace, it would be better than being coveted by others now." Speaking of Wu Tong's experience, old Carl had a regretful expression on his face and expressed his self-blame over the years. "Grandpa Carl, you can't say that. If you hadn't sent Brother Tong to the academy, how could Brother Tong's talent shine, and how could he be appreciated by His Majesty the Crown Prince?" Zhuang quickly comforted old Carl, and then slowly said, "What's more, although Brother Tong has been staying in Xiandao City all these years, he is now the most famous person on the continent. And didn't he say in his letter? He is living a good life now, don't worry about it. Brother Tong will come back one day. Before that, you just need to live a good life and take care of your body. And don't we have us? We will treat you as our own grandfather." When old Carl heard this, his eyes were slightly red. "Good children, you are all good children." Just as old Carl and Zhuang were expressing their feelings, a figure quickly rushed towards the village chief's house. "Good news, good news," the panting figure shouted the good news and rushed in without even knocking on the door. "Good news, Grandpa Carl," cough cough cough. After coming in, the figure was too excited and started coughing violently before he finished speaking. Zhuang saw the figure started coughing, and hurriedly stepped forward to pat his back and help him take a breath, and then said to Lao Yi, "Lao Yi, drink some water and talk slowly, you are still the same, why are you so anxious? By the way, what good news?" Lao Yi's name is Qing. Like Zhuang, he is also a member of Wu Tong's group of younger brothers. Because he looks too anxious and should be prudent and mature, the children call him Lao Yi. Lao Yi and Zhuang, as well as several of Wu Tong's teenage playmates, could not become soul masters because they did not awaken soul power when they awakened their martial souls. They can only spend an ordinary life in the village. If Wu Tong hadn't come, it would be like this. But now it's different. If the soul master system doesn't work, just change it. Doesn't Wu Tong have only one extraordinary system? Among so many extraordinary systems, they will always find an extraordinary system suitable for their cultivation. Wu Tong would not mind helping his friends to become stronger. Not to mention that he had the idea of increasing the number of strong people, preaching to the world, and promoting the upgrading of the world. Just talking about his own personality, he would not watch his familiar friends live a mediocre life and finally pass away with time. Moreover, the number of strong people must be increased. Among the strong people who are increased, the more of their own people, the better. It is impossible for good things to be given to others, right? Breathe, breathe, breathe. Old Yi took a few deep breaths and slowly calmed down his mood. Then he said in a somewhat excited tone, "Brother Tong is back." "What, X2?" Hearing this news, old Carl and Zhuang exclaimed. "Are you serious, old Yi, Xiao Yi, is it true? Xiao Tong is really back?" Zhuang and old Carl asked Qing in shock, their tone full of incredible meaning, as if they could not believe that the news was true. "Of course it's true. How could I joke about Brother Tong? Brother Tong came back in a huge mechanical car. He is now at the entrance of the village, and there are a group of beautiful sisters beside him." Qing looked at the expressions of the two people, thinking that they didn't believe it, and quickly explained. "Great, Brother Tong is finally back." Zhuang seemed to be relieved and let out more breath of relief. Over the years, it was not only old Carl who was worried about Wu Tong, but also their childhood playmates who were also worried about Wu Tong's safety. But in order to take care of old Carl's emotions, They could only suppress their worries and face old Carl with a positive attitude. After all, old Carl was very good to them, and even when their parents went out to work, they were raised by old Carl. It can be said that old Carl is like another parent to them, so they naturally don't want to make old Carl sad. But now that Wu Tong is back, it means that he is fine, which also makes Da Zhuang feel relieved. Then let's go quickly. Xiaoi, you lead the way in front, we'll go there quickly. When old Carl heard the news, his heart was pounding with excitement, his face was a little ruddy, and his decadent aura was instantly swept away. Then he turned his head and said to Yi Qing. As he said that, he wanted to go out. Seeing this scene, Da Zhuang and Yi Qing hurriedly followed, supported old Carl's arm, and walked slowly towards the village entrance with old Carl. The hurried appearance of the three people also confused the villagers on the road, who didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what Da Zhuang and the others were going to do. The entrance of Panyan Village. A huge mechanical monster stopped at the entrance of the village. A group of boys and girls gathered together curiously, but found their childhood boss, Wu Tong. At this moment, Wu Tong was standing in front of the car, chatting with his former friends and discussing interesting things in his youth. But most of the time, it was friends who were asking, and Wu Tong was answering. Brother Tong, now that you're back, does that mean you don't have to be afraid of that group of people anymore? But before Wu Tong could reply, another voice interrupted the question. What's the point of being afraid or not? Brother Tong compromised only because he was worried about our safety. We should be more cautious, Tisk, you just know how to show off. You think you're so great after just a few days of school. Someone nearby obviously disdained the correction of this person. They all grew up together naked, so who doesn't know who? The culture of showing off is showing off to one's own people. By the way, Brother Tong, will you leave in the future? No, Brother Tong, we don't want you to leave. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230, Relocation Completed, Preparing for Luotian Dejingyo. Wu Tong smiled and said, we will definitely go back, but don't worry, I am here this time to bring everyone to my place, so we won't be separated anymore. I open an academy, and you can go to the academy to study. Brother Tong, we are not Soul Masters, so the Soul Master Academy has nothing to do with us, right? A young man scratched his head and said with a puzzled look. I have some opportunities. Now the academy teaches not only the power of Soul Masters, but also some other extraordinary powers. Some powers can even surpass the Soul Master system. If you are willing, you can naturally learn a lot. Wu Tong smiled and explained briefly. He originally had the idea of cultivating his friends. If you are poor, you can take care of yourself, and if you are rich, you can help the world. If you have the ability, you should always take care of your friends, right? There are other extraordinary powers in this world, why haven't we heard of them? Could it be that Brother Tong created them? Everyone looked at each other after hearing Wu Tong's words, and saw the shock in the eyes of the others. However, after thinking about the achievements Wu Tong had made over the years, they were relieved. The first wise man on the continent, the master of martial soul research, the sage, these titles are not exaggerated, but have real achievements in battle. Since Brother Tong is so smart, it doesn't seem so difficult to understand that he can create other extraordinary powers. So, after everyone came to their senses, they all cheered. Great, XN. While everyone was moved, they were also excited. Only by living in the extraordinary world can they better appreciate the importance of power. If they want to avoid death in the aftermath of the battle between the strong, the best way is to become a strong person themselves. For everyone, there was no way before, and they could only sink. But now that they have the possibility of controlling powerful forces, they naturally have to work hard for it. They don't believe it. They don't have talent in the Soul Master system, so can they have no talent in other extraordinary systems? As the saying goes, if a man does not show his lofty ambitions, he will be in vain. Every teenager has a strong desire in their heart. They have also dreamed of standing on the top of the world, overlooking the world, and controlling the situation. Just when the teenagers were cheering happily for Wu Tong's decision. Brother Tong, who are those beauties? Are they your wives? A girl suddenly asked. Yes, how about it, pretty, right? Wu Tong nodded in response. After hearing Wu Tong's response, everyone immediately teased Wu Tong. But no one noticed the loneliness in the girl's eyes. While Wu Tong was answering his friend's questions, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart as he looked at his grown-up playmates in front of him. Alice, those little radish heads back then have grown up so much? 6 years, has such a long time passed? It's true that there is no time in the mountains, but 1,000 years have passed in the world. Just when Wu Tong was sighing about how fast time passed, a hurried sound of footsteps came from far away. Seeing this, everyone stopped reminiscing and turned their heads to look in the direction of the person coming. Suddenly, the figures of old Carl, Da Zhuang, and Yu Qing appeared in front of him. When he saw Wu Tong for the first time, old Carl was so excited that he wanted to go forward. But he stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Seeing this, Wu Tong flashed and appeared in front of old Carl, and directly reached out to support old Carl's body. After supporting him steadily, old Carl looked at the figure in front of him, his eyes slightly red. "Xiao Tong, is it really you? Are you really back?" Old Carl's eyes were fixed on Wu Tong's figure, as if Wu Tong would disappear if he looked away. "It's me, I'm back, Grandpa Carl." Looking at old Carl's white hair, Wu Tong's voice was filled with uncontrollable longing. "It's good to be back, it's good to be back." After getting Wu Tong's response, old Carl kept murmuring, as if he had let go of something. The next development is naturally a happy thing to see, and you can imagine it. Explaining experiences, showing off achievements, exchanging feelings, and telling the purpose after a set of procedures, under the persuasion of Wu Tong, Da Zhuang and others, the entire Panyan Village was quickly moved to the outskirts of Yuhu Canyon by Wu Tong. Even some villagers who didn't want to move were persuaded by a group of villagers in turn, and finally agreed to move. After all, people always yearn for a better life, and those who like to stick to the rules are definitely a minority. And after hearing Wu Tong say that the academy will also teach other extraordinary powers, some villagers who want their children to become successful began to persuade others more eagerly. In this way, all the villagers of Panyan Village were resettled by Wu Tong in a town that had just been built a few days ago outside Yuhu Canyon. Then, after knowing the arrival of the people from Panyan Village, the academy staff held a welcome banquet and reveled all night, under the pretext of celebrating the villagers' housewarming. It brought the relationship between the two closer, eased the tension of the villagers of Panyan Village arriving in a strange place, and allowed the villagers of Panyan Village to gradually integrate into this new home. Vertical sun. When the sun was 3 o'clock in the sky, after Wu Tong finished washing up, he put on a navy blue ancient-style robe, and in a flash, he came to the town outside the college. Looking at the villagers who were still familiar with the town environment, Wu Tong smiled and nodded. It seemed that everyone had adapted well. Then Wu Tong observed for a while and found that there was no problem, so he stopped looking at the villagers. After all, he had to go to other worlds to rescue people today, and time could not be wasted. So Wu Tong's consciousness sank into the chat group. In the chat group, "Buyao Bilian, brothers, are you all ready? Buyao Bilian, you can come over. Luo Yondajiao will start at noon. Buyao Bilian? Buyao Bilian, why don't you talk, brothers? Buyao Bilian, come quickly, hurry up. Dragon King Spraywater, are you calling souls? I saw it, stop calling. Dragon King Spraywater, it doesn't take time to wash up? It doesn't take time to prepare? It doesn't take time to pick people to support you? Dragon King Spraywater, what are you calling? If you yell again, you will be muted." Buyao Bilian zips up his mouth. "Buyao Bilian, come on, brothers, pull open." Suddenly, group reminder, group member Buyao Bilian has been muted for 10 minutes by the group owner. Chapter 231, the famous scene of breaking off an engagement is about to disappear? Something is wrong with Dahuan. Continued from the previous article. Oh wow, I saw a good show as soon as I came in. Wu Tong looked at this scene, and the corners of his mouth rose wildly. So, everyone in the group is talented and speaks well. He likes to stay in the group. After all, with these pairs of happy enemies, the happy scenes in the group are happening almost every moment. Don't believe the poor young man. Oh wow, I saw a good show as soon as I came in. Don't believe the poor young man, you are really a master of committing suicide, Chulan. Don't believe the poor young man. Okay, don't rush me, I'll be there soon. Wait a minute, I'm rushing back, I'll go there as soon as I pick up Zuner. Seeker, rushing back? You're not at Zio's house? Seeing Zio Yan's news, Wu Tong immediately caught the point. Don't bully the poor young man. Not here. The teacher supervised me to train outside for a few days and practiced some combat skills. After all, although my strength has improved a lot, my combat experience is really too poor. Seeker: oh, that's right. Your combat experience should be improved. You look terrible in the last battle in the apocalypse world. Seeker: by the way, speaking of our Emperor Yan, is your plot about to start? I really want to see with my own eyes the famous scene of 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West. Don't bully the poor young man. Seeing Wu Tong's words, Xiao Yan, who was running back, was speechless. After rolling his eyes, he immediately replied in his heart. Don't bully the poor young man. No, there's still about a month before the Xiao family's coming-of-age ceremony. Don't bully the poor young man, but if it's a famous scene, you probably won't see it, Brother Tong. Cute King: why? Seeker: why? Dragon King spraying water: why? Lazy Angel: why? Good fellow, you all have this in mind. How idle are you? Do you have nothing to do all day? Xiao Yan rolled his eyes wildly and complained madly in his heart, but he did not forget to explain the reason. Don't bully a poor young man. After I come back from Luotian Dejio, I plan to find Nalan Yanran and cancel our engagement privately. Don't bully a poor young man. I have thought about it for a while. There's nothing wrong with what she said in the plot. It's just that her approach is too radical. Now that nothing has happened, I can't hold on to it. Don't bully a poor young man. After all, Nalan Yanran is just a child. With my current strength, I am not going to get angry with a child. Xiao Yan felt a powerful force unique to a third-level strong man coming from his body, and said confidently. He really didn't have much time to play the 3-year appointment game with Nalan Yanran. Wouldn't it be better to use this time to develop his own power and prepare to conquer other worlds? Please look forward to the new famous scene, 3-year appointment, Nalan Yanran, 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West. Don't bully a poor girl, Buyao Bilion. So, that's good, you don't have to go through the marriage cancellation incident again, both of your families can save face, and the relationship doesn't have to be so tense. After all, the relationship between the elders of the two families is still quite good. Buyao Bilion, but everyone is a little off topic. Shouldn't we discuss the matter of coming to help the younger brother? By the way, are the others ready? Photographer G: I am ready, but this time I may bring too many people. Sister GZ. Uncle Yang, Dan Heng, Zing, Ahuan Seeker? Seeker, are you planning to go all over? Didn't you say that someone should stay to guard the train? Photographer G: didn't I say that? Photographer G: a few days ago, when Zing and I were going through the plot in Balaberg, I found that my martial soul, Starry Sky Train actually resonated with the Starry Sky Train in our world. Photographer: after this period of research, I found that I can store the train in the spirit, so this time I don't need to leave someone to guard the train, and Pam can also enjoy the scenery outside through my sight. Photographer: so everyone plans to go there. After all, exploring the other world is also a pioneering journey worth remembering. Xianji King: there is such a thing? It seems that the potential of the spirit is really great. Dragon King spraying water: yes, you know, the core power source of the Star Dome train is the heart of the pioneering star god. It can be integrated with the spirit. The power of the spirit is really magical. Dragon King spraying water: it really deserves to be a system related to the heart. It is really extraordinary. Seeker: Kayao Daomade, I can understand the others, but who is that Ahuan? Is there this person in the train group? Photographer: Ahuan is what I mentioned before, the little aunt of Sambo. Although she is a masked fool, she is unexpectedly good. Photographer: with her help, we were able to pass the Balaberg trip very quickly, although the fact that we had understood the plot was also partly to blame. Photographer: after the Balaberg trip, I invited Miss Huan to join the train team, and now she has become a glorious unknown guest. Seeker: Wu Tong looked at Xiao Sanayu's message, and although he always felt a sense of inexplicable disobedience in his heart, he didn't know what was wrong. However, Xiao Sanayu actually let the masked fools group of fun people get on the train. It was also thanks to Xiao Sanayu that she could think of it. She probably forgot what the train looked like when it was broken into 2 pieces. Seeker: then congratulations on the addition of 1 person to the train team. Seeker: but Miss Huan is a masked fool after all. Xiao Sanayu, you'd better be careful. Don't forget what the last fun person from the joyful faction who got on the train did. Red Kite Immortal: Yes, you should also learn from the fact that the joyful star god blew the train into 2 pieces, so you should be careful. Photographer, no way, Sister Huan doesn't seem like that kind of person. Angel of laziness, I'm afraid even she herself can't imagine what a fun person can do. Leisurely travel in the world, from a general rational point of view, it is indeed true, little Sanayu, you'd better be more cautious about people with this kind of personality. On the Starry Sky train. Seeing everyone saying this, Sanayuki also had some bad feelings in his heart. His eyes suddenly glanced to the side, where Huan was chasing and playing with Pam. Huan keenly noticed Sanayuki's eyes, turned around to look at Sanayuki, and said with a blank face, "What's wrong, little Sanayu, is there something on my face?" At the same time, he couldn't help muttering in his heart, "Did I get discovered? Impossible, I heard that Sanayuki is very stupid." Chapter 232 The True Identity of the Nameless Guest Ahuan, the feminine gender-transformed version of Aha. How could she guess? Could it be because of that chat group? Before she could continue thinking, Sanayuki shook her head. Nothing, nothing. Oh, seeing this, Ahuan immediately confirmed that she had been discovered, but she did not make a sound, just responded, and continued to play with Pam. Is there anything wrong? Forget it, since everyone says so, then pay attention to it. Everyone is right. After all, this is also a masked fool. It is not a bad thing to pay attention to it. After a sneak peek, Sanayuki found that there was really no problem, so he relaxed and sank back into the chat group. However, Sanayuki was more vigilant about Ahuan. Ahuan, I believe everyone should have seen it here. This so-called Sambo Anti-Ahuan is actually the joyful star god Aha, who opened a new vest to avoid being recognized by Pam. I have to say that Aha's vision is still pretty good. The image of the incarnation is the appearance of a little Lolita. A cute little face, with cute big eyes, can be regarded as a cute little creature. Although he is thin and short, this feeling of being fragile makes people feel pity for him. And when the few people first met, Aha was only wearing tattered clothes. With that pitiful look at the time, I believe that any kind-hearted person, not to mention March 7, would help Aha when seeing her like that. Of course, the premise is that his true face is not discovered. When March 7 invited Aha to get in the car, this weak image added a lot of points to Aha. Ahem, the topic has gone too far, let's turn the topic back to the main text. Since Aha knew the specialness of March 7 not long ago, he was very happy and prepared to follow March 7 and his group to have fun. After all, he believed that March 7, who had a chat group that could connect the worlds of the heavens, would have endless fun around him. As long as he followed March 7, he would no longer have to worry about not having fun to watch. Thinking of this, Aha prepared to disguise himself as an unknown guest and board the train to have fun in other worlds. In order to join the train group, Aha even specially acted a play with Sambo. The result was as expected. With his deliberate disguise and clever arrangements, he finally succeeded in getting the invitation of March 7, snipped into the train, returned to the Starry Sky train, and became a member of the unknown guest. Ha ha ha, it seems that Aha was caught. This is really interesting. I didn't expect that he was discovered by little March. Aha is really embarrassed. Aha continued to play with Pam, while feeling the alertness of March 7 quietly rising, and suddenly laughed in his heart. I didn't expect that such a sophisticated disguise of mine would be discovered by a little girl with a not very good brain. This is really fun. Little Sanayu, you are the one with a bad brain. Your whole family has bad brains, but Aha is not worried about being targeted. After this period of time, he can be said to know Sanayuki quite well. As long as he does not do anything to harm the train, even if his identity is exposed, Sanayuki should not refuse to let him go with him. Although Aha is a little bored because he can't find fun with the unknown passengers on the train, he is not so upset when he thinks that there will be more fun in the future. One meal and one meal, Aha can still tell which choice is better. In the chat group. Photographer G, now there seems to be nothing wrong with Ahuan, but I will keep an eye on her. Whether her purpose is good or bad, I have decided not to allow her to hurt Sister Jizzy and the others. Passerby, you should know it in your heart, but don't worry too much. If it really doesn't work, we are here. We will definitely help you. Cute King, yes, we will help you when the time comes. Cute King, but Miss Ahuan is not necessarily that kind of bad person. Cute King, maybe she is a good person. Although there are many funny people among the masked fool, funny people are chaotic creatures. Aren't there good people among the masked fool? Cute king, if you look at it this way, you don't have to worry too much. Just pay a little attention. Maybe she just wants to go to other worlds. Photographer, yes, I see. Thank you. Just when Sanyuki was deeply moved by everyone's concern, the person who ruined the atmosphere appeared again. Unshakable Lotus, brothers, if you are ready, come quickly. Seeker, Chulan, why do you feel weird today? Why are you always in a hurry to let us go? Seeker, suddenly I feel like you have bad intentions? Seeker, Death Stare JPG. Unshakable Lotus, oh Unshakable Lotus, is it so obvious? Dragon King spraying water, isn't this obvious enough? Lazy Angel, isn't this obvious enough? Chenchi Xianao, isn't this obvious enough? Passerby, isn't this obvious enough? Don't bully the poor young man, isn't this obvious enough? Seeing the words of the group friends, Zhang Qiulin felt like crying but couldn't cry. He didn't want to do this, but who asked the master and grandfather and their group to give him the task of taking the first place in this Luotian Dejao? He also threatened, if he didn't become the first, he would be in trouble after the Luotian Dejao. But Zhang Qiulin really didn't have the confidence to take the first place. Although his strength is very strong, fighting is not something that can be determined by strength. Zhang Qiulin personally awakened the martial arts for the younger generation of the Lu family and the younger generation of Longhu Mountain. As an awakened person, he naturally remembered the effects of those martial arts. Not to mention his current strength, even if his strength was twice as strong, he would not have the confidence to win. After all, Zhang Qiulin knew everything about this Luotian Dejao, and it was a complete fight between gods. Let alone other people. Just talking about Zhang Lingayu's wordless heavenly book, Zhang Qiulin was in danger of fighting, because it had recorded the entire Longhu Mountain and all the secrets of other sects. A few days ago, when Zhang Qiulin and Zhang Lingayu were sparring, all kinds of precious secrets were thrown at him like they were free. Who could withstand it? Chapter 233 Kadoya, I'm not the only one who likes to bully the weak? Continued from the last chapter, even if Zhang Lingayu could not keep the wordless book running for too long due to insufficient energy reserves. But during this period of time, the skills thrown out by the wordless book were enough to give Zhang Qiulin a hard time. After all, it was a rain of skills that was as dense as a rain curtain. Even if he took one, he would be unconscious for a while. By that time, he would be eliminated directly, let alone the first place. What's more, there are more than just Zhang Lingayu who have such a perverted martial spirit. There are at least a dozen or so. In other words, if Zhang Qiulin wants to get the first place, he needs to beat more than a dozen young talents of the same age. Because according to Zhang Qiulin's understanding of the old Xianqi, as long as he participates in the Luotian Dejao, he will definitely meet those guys in the end. What if he can't beat them? Then he can only look for external help. But Zhang Qiulin didn't know whether the group of people in the group were willing to come to help him bully the children, so he planned to urge them to come first. If the members don't want to, Zhang Qiulin can also trick the people they brought over to be his thugs. But maybe because he was too anxious, he didn't expect to be exposed so quickly. So Zhang Qiulin had to recount the whole story. Buyao Bilion, that's what happened. Buyao Bilion, plus, the registration time for Luotian Dajiao is about to end, so I'm so anxious. Moki Xiaonian Kaiong, don't you mean that you want us to help you bully the children? Hearing Zhang Qiulin's explanation, Xiao Yan was immediately excited. Although it was a bit troublesome to learn about the abilities of those people from Zhang Qiulin, they were not impossible to deal with. When one's own strength is much stronger than the opponent, then even if the opponent has a stronger ability, the role that can be played is very limited. To be honest, those people can't even beat the third-level old Xianqi, let alone for himself. After all, he has also reached the third-level strength. Those so-called opponents are just a bunch of small vegetables for him. Don't bully the poor young. This is really great. Don't bully the poor young. Why didn't you say so earlier? I'm most interested in bullying the weak. Wait for me, I'll be there soon. As he spoke, Xiao Yan's figure flashed suddenly, and his footwork fighting skills were used instantly, and his speed increased several times. Dragon King sprayed water. I'm also interested. Why didn't you say so earlier? Wait a moment, I'll take people to sign up immediately. Guruli was also smiling, and finally she could find confidence in the rookies. She was almost depressed from being bullied these days. Who would have thought that the group of soldiers and agents, after awakening their martial arts spirits, combined with their combat experience, would have such a powerful combat power. When facing someone of the same realm as herself, she was beaten up directly, which made Guruli lose her confidence for a while. Now she finally has the opportunity to bully others instead of being bullied, which made Guruli almost burst into tears with excitement. Passerby, +1, I am an expert in teaching newcomers a lesson. Those juniors were taught and educated by me and became obedient. Kadoyashi also showed a smile on his face, and his fingers could not help but clenched. And his knuckles made crisp sounds from time to time. Bullying the weak, he really likes it. You know, he's a well-known guest knight in the special effects industry who has educated both the predecessors and the younger generations. Seeker, I will go too, just in time for me to see the growth of those little guys. It has been more than a month, they should have become much stronger, right? Wu Tong had no interest at first, but when he heard Zhang Qiulin say that the martial spirits of the Lu family juniors and the Longhushan juniors were very good, Wu Tong instantly became interested. It was just right, taking this opportunity to bully the weak and copy the martial spirits by the way. Although these martial spirits do not have to be used, the more the better. As a typical Tuntunshu person, Wu Tong is still very interested in collecting such things. Buyao Bilian, Brother Tong, if you want to bully the weak, you can actually say it directly, without beating around the bush. Everyone actually knows what kind of person you are. In addition to these four people, Gabriel and Rimuru also clearly expressed their intention to participate in the competition. Zhongli, Hizai, Fu Hu and others looked at this scene, while shaking their heads and sighing. Zhang Qiulin saw the message sent by the group members and patted his head quickly. He was secretly annoyed. How could he forget that there were more undecent people in the group than decent people? This kind of bullying, others don't say, some people must be very interested, don't look at it, I'm talking about you, the scum knight who beat up the little devil and still wants to eat the little devil's food, Kadoyashi, Buyao Bilian, okay, then everyone hurry up, I just checked, the registration is about to end. Zhang Qiulin had an irrepressible smile on his face and spoke in the group. Seeker, Qiulin, find a place where there is no one, I will come right over. Buyao Bilian. Okay, seeing Wu Tong's message, Zhang Qiulin replied immediately, then flashed into the forest, looked around, and found that there was indeed no one, and immediately replied in the group. Buyao Bilian, okay, I found a place where no one is, Brother Tong, you can come over. Seeing Zhang Qiulin's message, Wu Tong did not continue to talk nonsense, and directly exchanged a ticket for crossing, and his figure gradually disappeared in the Douluo world. The world under one person. In the forest behind Longhu Mountain, Zhang Qiulin stood in a place where no one was, with an excited smile on his face, rubbing his hands constantly, and pacing back and forth, as if waiting for something. Before he had to wait too long, 12 white light curtains appeared out of thin air. The first time he saw the light curtain, Zhang Qiulin was immediately excited. He had seen the scene of Wu Tong crossing over. This white light curtain was very familiar to him. Isn't this proof that others are coming? And there are actually 12 light curtains, it seems that everyone has come. As expected, when the light curtain dissipated, 12 figures instantly appeared on the scene. However, before Zhang Qiulin could speak, everyone immediately released their companions from their own space. After just a moment, the scene was filled with people. Zhang Qiulin looked around and quickly divided the people into different groups. The chat group owner, the authority dog, Guruli, and the martial spirit team she brought with her. Chapter 234 Everyone is out, arriving at the world under one person. The heavenly king Hizai and the sacred wings she brought, Yan and Zhi's in. Xiao Yan who has not yet become the Emperor of Flame and his girlfriend Xiao Zuner, of course, there is also Yao Chen in his soul form. The Imperial Knight Kadoyashi, the Stockings Maniac Guangxia Hai, the Kadong Lady Kadong Daishu and Onodera Yuasuk who often forgets to transform. The Rock King Zhongli, the Ruota Dragon King Kunjin and the Rebirth Hall Master Hu Tao. The Lazy Angel Gabriel and the Devil Angel Vinit. The entire train crew, plus a hidden identity of the Joyful Star Gadoha. The strongest slime in history, the cute King Rimuru and his friend, the Tyrant of Destruction Milim. Fu Hua Shankson and the Paramecium Trio. And the cute Dragon Kana and the big sister of the Quetzalcoatl God Lukoya. Of course, there are also his thighs Wu Tong and no one. Brother Tong came alone? Looking at Wu Tong's lonely figure, Zhang Qiulin's face was immediately full of question marks. Of course, Wu Tong came alone. His purpose in coming to this world was very simple: to rescue people, abuse the weak, and support Zhang Qiulin. Wu Tong could handle these small things by himself, and he didn't need help from others. Moreover, the reason why Wu Tong didn't bring anyone here was that he didn't want his abuse of the weak to be spread. After all, such an approach would have a great impact on his glorious image. Although in the eyes of others, Wu Tong didn't have much image. But at this moment, Zhang Qiulin didn't know the mystery. But if he didn't know, he didn't know. Now Zhang Qiulin couldn't care so much. At this moment, his heart was full of excitement. He didn't expect that so many big guys would come to support him this time. This was really an honor. Zhang Qiulin's eyes swept through the big guys such as Yizai, Fu Hui, Lucia, Zhongli, etc. His heart was immediately full of confidence. With the help of the big guys, the first place in Luotian Daijiao can be easily controlled. Let's see me become famous in one battle. Greek letter sigma. Facts have proved that once the population base is large, there will always be some problems. This is the situation now. The scene was full of chaos because there was no one to manage it. It was very lively. Sanayuki and Fuhuo were sitting there. Aunt Jizzy, aren't you still in class? Why are you here? And you've changed into new clothes? Kiana looked around with a head as smart as a paramecium, and soon saw Jizzy standing next to Sanayuki and Lao Yang. Oh, I see, you skipped class. Aunt Jizzy, you don't want your aunt to know that you didn't go to class, right? Suddenly, Kiana had a flash of inspiration and automatically added a suitable reason for Jizzy's appearance. However, this sentence made May and Branaya on the side frown. Kiana, please put away the neon flavor in your mouth. Child, do we know each other? Jizzy was confused when she heard Kiana's words. What? Aunt Jizzy, do you still want to pretend that you don't know me? It's useless. Don't forget that the Valkyrie armor has a mission recording function. This is the evidence. Kiana heard Jizzy's words and immediately pointed at the mission recorder on her body and shouted. Fu Hui, Sanayuki and Walter, who knew the truth, couldn't help but cover their faces with their hands. Among them, Fu Hui couldn't help but feel endless regret in her heart. Why did I just blind my heart and bring Kiana here? At this time, Branaya broke the silence. Stupid paramecium. Have you forgotten what the class monitor said? This Jizzy is obviously the isotope of teacher Jizzy in another world. Kiana was stunned when she heard Branaya's words. The scene was suddenly quiet. Isn't this embarrassing? The position of Zhongli and others. Hey, Hu Tao stared at the two guests in front of her with a smile on her face. Her joy was beyond words. Others could tell at a glance how proud she was. I really didn't expect that the two guests of my Wangsheng Hall would have such a great background, right? Lord Emperor and Mr. Dragon King, I originally thought that you were just two immortals, but I didn't expect that if I hadn't had the urge to go to Xiangling this time, I wouldn't have known about this. At this point, Hu Tao changed the topic, and her tone couldn't help but carry a hint of anger. So can you explain it now, my good guest? Why would the dignified Rock King Emperor not have Mora? Who would believe it if Morax didn't have Mora? From a universal rational point of view, Morax and Rock King Emperor are now dead, and only a mortal named Hongli is left. Forging Mora is the exclusive authority of Rock King Emperor, so it is natural that Zhongli doesn't have Mora. Facing Hu Tao's question, Zhongli answered calmly. What a reason. What kind of answer is this? Isn't this the same as the ridiculous reason that my future self is not me, so the things he did cannot be blamed on me? So, Hu Tao got angry. There is no way. It would be fine if she didn't know before, but now that she knows Hongli's identity, if she dares to offend him again, it can't be said that ignorance is innocent. That is indeed knowing the law and breaking it. Moreover, as a Liaoyu person, Hu Tao's respect for the emperor is also from the heart. So even if she knows that the emperor has now become a scoundrel, it is not easy to reverse her worship of the emperor. What should I do if I can't fight back? Master Hu has his own way. Hu Tao smiled at Zhongli, and then her body fell back and lay on the ground. Zhongli looked at Hu Tao's actions, and his heart suddenly skipped a beat, and he had a bad premonition. Sure enough, Zhongli's premonition soon came true. I don't care, you have to compensate me. I saw that the Master who was lying on the ground, immediately started to throw a tantrum and rolled around, and he was still rolling and shouting, Zilin, she is imitating me, I want to apply for copyright and let her pay me copyright fees. Sure enough, I can't handle this child. Looking at Hu Tao's actions and the strange gazes gradually shifted from the people around, Zhongli's face was a little tense. He said directly, "Master, stop making trouble, just tell me what you want to do." Chapter 235, Little Walnut's Ambition, Little Angel Vinit. Continued from the previous article, if the conditions are reasonable, I will help. You are indeed a guest official. You are smart and you can see my purpose at a glance. After hearing Zhongli's words, Hu Tao immediately understood what Zhongli wanted to express. Suddenly, she flipped over from the ground. Hu Tao casually patted the dust off her butt and said with a smile, "Guest official, don't you have a way to contact other worlds?" After careful consideration, this Hua master finally decided to give you the task of establishing branches of the Wangsheng Hall in other worlds. This Hua master wants to open the Wangsheng Hall to other worlds, and this Hua master wants the Wangsheng Hall to shine in my hands. Hearing Hu Tao's ambition, Zhongli was immediately speechless. I knew it. This girl will never say anything good. Guruli's team position. Guruli and 11 figures stood in place, looking at the surrounding environment, alert to the risks that might come. After a while, the team that did not find any problem slowly relaxed. At this time, is this the other world? Also, just after he breathed a sigh of relief, a young man in white stepped forward, took a deep breath, and was about to speak. But Guruli, who was standing aside, was shocked when he saw this scene. What was this neurotic minister planning to do? In order to nip all dangers in the bud, Guruli interrupted directly, "Minister, what are you going to do? I told you in advance. This is not our world. You should be quiet. If you cause me any trouble again, I will not take you to other worlds next time, okay?" When the young man in white heard Guruli's words, he immediately stopped thinking about making trouble and stayed quietly. There is no way, he can't travel through the world. If he wants to go to other worlds, he can only listen to Guruli's words. But you dare to disrespect this minister. Forget it this time, but don't let me get the chance, otherwise I will definitely let you taste the power of my pregnant tyrant Song Ai. The young man in white stayed where he was, secretly glancing at Guruli's figure, muttering to himself. Gabriel and the other man were at their positions. "Xiaojia, is this the other world you mentioned? I didn't expect it to be real. I thought you were talking about a place in a game." Vinit, who was released from the dust song pot by Gabriel, looked around curiously and found that it was indeed a different world. She immediately apologized to Gabriel, who was looking depressed, with an apologetic look on her face. "Sorry, I wronged you this time, Xiaojia." Seeing this scene, Wu Tong was speechless. I really don't know what's going on in Gabriel's world. The black-bellied, lazy angel and the silly, sweet, gentle and kind demon. This contrast is really hard to understand. Do you dare to believe that the holy light on a demon can be purer than most angels? Do you dare to believe that an angel is thinking about how to play games and exterminate humans all day? But this kind of thing happened in that world. Thinking of this, Wu Tong sighed secretly. It was indeed a world of pure and simple underworld, which was in line with the title of the play. It's okay to know that you were wrong. Now you believe it. I didn't lie to you. Gabriel was obviously very pleased with Vinit's apology. She looked like you wronged me, but I don't care. She was madly pursuing Vinit. Seeing Gabriel's appearance, Vinit felt even more sorry. She bowed quickly and said, "I am very sorry, Xiaojia, it doesn't matter. I don't care about your misunderstanding, Vinit. As long as you are willing to agree to one of my requests, I will forgive you." Hearing Vinit's words, Gabriel's eyes flashed. What a good opportunity, if not now, when? Then he said to Vinit with a smirk on his face. "What's the matter?" Seeing Gabriel's smirk, Vinit suddenly had a bad premonition in her heart. She always felt that Gabriel would propose some conditions that made her feel troubled. "You can't stop me from playing games in the future." What? When Vinit heard this, she immediately understood where her bad premonition came from. She had no doubt that without her supervision, Gabriel would definitely stay at home playing games all day. She immediately shook her head and rejected it. No, this condition must not be agreed to by you, otherwise you, Xiaojia, will become a real useless angel. Gabriel, the position of the two-person team of Kana and Lucia. It's really a different world, Zio Kana. Thor originally thought that you were deceived, so he asked me to come and see, but I didn't expect that what you said was actually true. Lucia looked at the little girl next to her with a smile, stretched out her hand and rubbed her head. "Lord Lucia," Kana called sweetly, and then closed her eyes and enjoyed Lucia's touch. Looking at the chaotic scene, Wu Tong had no intention of intervening, but walked straight to Zhang Chulin's position. He clearly remembered the purpose of coming to this world. The most important thing now is to register first. After all, according to Zhang Chulin, the registration time for Luotian Dajio is about to end, so we naturally need to hurry up. As for making new friends, such a small matter can be discussed after the registration is completed. Wu Tong can still tell who comes first and who comes later. On the side, seeing Wu Tong walking towards Zhang Chulin, others immediately understood that Wu Tong was going to ask about the registration. So, some people who wanted to participate in this event also walked out of the crowd, followed Wu Tong's pace, and walked towards Zhang Chulin. Chulin, how is it, are we not late? How long will the registration time for Luotian Dajio end? When he came in front of Zhang Chulin, Wu Tong didn't waste any words and asked directly to the point. Zhang Chulin immediately became alert when he heard this. He looked at the phone in his hand, then smiled and said, "Brother Tong, of course it's not too late. The registration will end in half an hour, which is enough time for us to register, then let's go quickly. Speaking of which, with our participation, I believe this Luotian Dajio will definitely be very interesting," Wu Tong said excitedly after hearing Zhang Chulin's words. Of course it's interesting, and it's not just ordinary interesting. Chapter 236 Luotian Dajio? The Martial Arts Contest of the Heavens. Soul Masters fight against aliens, Lazy Angels fight against Key Training Masters, Kamen Rider fights against cultivators, dragons fight against humans, and even metaphysics fights against technology. This Luotian Dajio can definitely be called a riot of demons. At this time, Kadoyashi came over and laughed and joked. Haha, indeed, this is exactly the same as the Tournament of Power in the Dragon Ball world, but theirs is a showdown between the 12 universes in the Dragon Ball world. Instead of multiple worlds participating together like us, it should be more appropriate to call ours the Fighting Contest of the Heavens, right? I just don't know if the people from Kwangsing will lose their Taoism and run away after seeing our fight. Should we set up a barrier or something to prevent them from escaping? Guruli also came over, and after hearing what Kamen Ryoshi she said with some concern. Then after we finish signing up, let's go ask the old Taoist priest and see what he thinks. After all, if we want to set up a barrier, we have to ask the host. It's not good for us guests to take over and make our own decisions, Xiao Yan replied after walking over slowly with Xiao Zuner. Yes, let's go. After signing up, let's go to ask the old Taoist priest. Now we don't have to worry about Quanxing's people running away. After all, we haven't taken action yet, and they don't know our strength. Hearing Xiao Yan's words, Wu Tong smiled and said nonchalantly, and the fundamental purpose of coming here this time is not to deal with Quanxing. Targeting Quanxing is just a small episode. The most important thing is to help Chulan reach a cooperation with the country. As long as we reach a cooperation with the country, even if Quanxing all run away, given their nature as troublemakers, they will be liquidated by the country in the future. By then, Quanxing's ending will also be the same. That's true. Well, since we don't have to worry about Quanxing's affairs anymore, let's go quickly. I can't wait to hear what Brother Xiaoming said. Guruli thought about Wu Tong's words for a moment, and found that the subsequent development was almost the same as what Wu Tong said, so she no longer cared about Quanxing's affairs. She turned to look at Zhang Chulin on the side, and said impatiently, "Okay, everyone, please follow me. I will take you to the registration place." Zhang Chulin immediately turned into Lackey when he heard Guruli's words, leading the way with a smile on his face. Seeing this, everyone looked at each other, chuckled and shook their heads, and then followed the people behind them. The back mountain of Longhu Mountain. The venue for Luotian Dajio. The registration place for contestants. At this time, because the registration time is about to end, those who want to register have already registered, so the number of people here has gradually sparsed. A dozen or so people were casually queuing up to register, chatting with the people next to them, trying to get each other's information, so as to make countermeasures against their opponents. Although they may not be able to line up together, it is not bad to prepare for a rainy day. What if they really meet? But the others are not fools, and naturally they will not reveal their own information, so this test of you and me, in the end, really turned into an exchange of regrets. Just when these dozen people were talking more and more excited, and even felt that they had met too late, and wanted to swear brotherhood on the spot. Suddenly, A person seemed to have seen something, and pointed at the registration entrance behind the crowd in surprise. He said excitedly, "Fuck, look, Lord Yan, March 7th, Walnut, XN." When all the people in the queue heard this, a look of confusion emerged on their faces. Is there something wrong with this guy's brain? How can the characters in the game appear in the real world? However, although everyone was confused, they still looked back. But with this turn of heads, everyone's expression immediately became the same as the man just now. Shit, it really is. Anime characters broke the dimensional wall? Everyone saw a group of familiar yet unfamiliar acquaintances slowly walking towards this side. Me family characters, Zhongli, March 7, Lao Yang, GZ, Danheng, Walnut, Fu Hui, Kiana, Branaya anime characters, Hizai, Yen, Zhizhen, Rimuru, Milim, Kana, Lukoa, Gabriel special effects characters, Katoishi, Kato Deki, Onodara Yusuk shit. When was the dimensional wall broken? The two-dimensional world invaded reality. Zhongli is so handsome, this kind of temperament full of security, it feels exactly the same as the real person. Teacher Jizzy and Kiana actually appeared at the same time. She is not dead after all. I am crying my heart out. Wait a minute, look carefully. That is Jizzy from the Starry Sky train next door. You brat, how dare you ruin my moral integrity? Isn't that guy Masahiro Inu? What are the Japanese doing here? I said you are obsessed, right? This is obviously a group of cosplay enthusiasts, but I didn't expect that there are cosers among aliens. Don't you mind discrimination? Who stipulates that aliens can't be cosers? Are there really such restored cosers? Is this really the real person who walked out of the second dimension? To be honest, I plan to find Lao Yang to collect stamps and let him perform Yang Cheoayu. If you have an idea, let's go together. Wait, there is actually a coser of Kana-chan? So cute. Yes, wait, you also watch this kind of macho anime? Confidant, let's add each other as watch-it friends. Kana-chan is really good, but Lukoya is more to my taste. A well-restored Lukoya. Is there really such a scale of figure in reality? Holy, nosebleed, indeed, this figure is absolutely amazing, and she came here in a coser costume. She is completely a saint who gives benefits, and she deserves to be in the Imperial Temple, like swallow bleeding from the nose. A dozen people saw Wu Tong and his group coming over, and immediately showed 12 points of passion and started a heated discussion. Because the registration condition for Luotian Dajio is that only people under the age of 30 can register, most of the people who register on the spot are passionate young people. As for anime and games, which are essential for young people, they usually watch a lot, so they naturally know the characters in popular anime and games. Now suddenly seeing such a restored coser, everyone is naturally excited. Ding ding. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 Dignity is only on the edge of the sword, truth is only within the range of the cannon. Continued from the last chapter, Duang. Just when everyone was discussing Wu Tong and his group enthusiastically, there were suddenly several knocking sounds on the table behind them. After hearing the sound, everyone immediately turned around and saw that the little Taoist priest who was in charge of registration was looking at them with a rather unhappy expression, and his hands had not yet stopped knocking. Everyone saw and immediately understood who made the sound. Dear layman, time is still a little tight, please register as soon as possible, and don't affect the applicants behind. Okay. Hearing the little Taoist priest's urging, everyone immediately realized that the environment they were in now seemed not very suitable for discussing these things. They immediately nodded like pounding garlic, and agreed with a smile. I really didn't expect it. Although I had guessed that everyone would be very popular, I was still a little surprised to see this scene. Guruli looked at the crowd in front who were still enthusiastically looking at this side although they were registering, and said with some emotion. After sighing, Guruli then turned his gaze to Sanayuki and teased, "Haha, little Sanayu, how does it feel to be a big star?" "Well, it doesn't feel very good. Although I don't mind being discussed, there are too many people, right? And what some people say is really annoying." Sanayuki felt a discussion coming from the surroundings and said with a lack of interest. "Of course, for a star, this situation is quite normal." Guruli comforted Sanayuki a little after hearing what he said. Why did you forget to ask everyone to change clothes at that time? This situation is a bit too eye-catching now. Zhang Chulin, who was standing aside, felt the eager eyes coming from the front, and suddenly felt a little bit amused. This way of appearance was completely opposite to his original intention of blending in with the crowd. Moreover, there were only a dozen people now, but it triggered such a heated discussion. When he arrived at the competition venue tomorrow, Zhang Chulin really couldn't imagine the scene of thousands of people discussing the people around him. Thinking of this, Zhang Chulin's face couldn't help but become a little bitter. Ha ha ha, let it be. Anyway, we are going to make our identities known to the public. It's not a bad thing to reveal it in advance. Xiao Yan saw Zhang Chulin's thoughts, smiled and patted his shoulder, comforting him. Yes, when the competition comes, they will know that we are not posers. In this way, it will be good to show off our muscles to the people sent by the higher-ups in your world, and tell them that you are our people and we are following you. I think as long as they know about the anime and games related to us, they will know what to do. Rimuru also agreed with Xiao Yan's proposal. Since knowing the future of his world, Rimuru has understood a truth, that is, dignity is only above the edge of the sword, and truth is only within the range of the cannon. Only if you have enough strength, you are qualified to conduct diplomacy and negotiations with major forces. This is also the true thought in the heart of Rimuru, who has awakened after knowing that the monsters in his village will be slaughtered in the future. Strength is like nuclear weapons. I cannot use it, but I must not have it. Yes, showing off your muscles will help you negotiate better, Gabrielle said while playing games on her phone. She also had a deep understanding of this. Why do you think their world is so peaceful? It's because in their world, heaven has always suppressed hell. Why do you think hell doesn't rebel? Is it because they don't dare? No, it's because their own strength is not as good as heaven, so even if they have this idea, they can only suppress it in their hearts and dare not express it. When the others heard this, they nodded involuntarily, and seemed to agree with this idea. Okay, let's talk about this later, it's our turn soon. At this time, Wu Tong interrupted the communication of the crowd and followed the person who registered in front of him. The registration for Luotian Daijiao is actually not particularly cumbersome. You only need to submit the procedures and fill in the information to register. Then you can go back and wait for the draw tomorrow to play the game. The procedures are necessary, and this is also to confirm the identity of the person coming. As long as there is no big problem, almost anyone can register. The inspection is a bit strict. After all, only in this way can we reduce the number of people with bad intentions from entering as much as possible. If people like Quanxing were allowed to sign up for the Luotian Daijiao in Longhu Mountain, it would be a lot of fun. But even so, the registration process for one person only takes a few tens of seconds at most. So the registration speed is actually very fast. Although there were more than a dozen people who had not signed up just now, it was Wu Tong's turn in just 10 minutes. Zhuanggan Jr. Brother, I'll trouble you to sign up for Brother Tong and his group. Zhang Chulin smiled and said to the little Taoist priest who was sitting at the registration office and registering the applicants. During this period, due to safety considerations, Zhang Zihui and his group of older generations prohibited Zhang Chulin from going down the mountain, so out of boredom, Zhang Chulin got to know the Taoist priests on the mountain. In addition, Zhang Chulin was a person favored by the old Xianqi, and this identity made him very popular on Longhu Mountain. So during this period of time on Longhu Mountain, this kid was doing very well. Brother Chulin, don't worry. Grandmaster has instructed that the people you bring can register directly without any formalities. Although the young Taoist priest was swift and decisive in his actions, his personality was very gentle. He nodded and agreed to Zhang Chulin's words. Then, he lowered his head and continued to handle the registration matters. Not long after, it was Wu Tong's turn to register. Wu Tong followed the previous person's approach, took a form and a gel pen handed over by the young Taoist priest, and then lay on the table to fill it out. Name, gender, age, native place, address. After completing a series of information registration, Wu Tong handed the form in his hand to the waiting young Taoist priest. After the young Taoist priest confirmed that there was no problem, Wu Tong took the wooden sign handed over by him again. Then he slowly moved to the side and mixed in with Zhongli and his group who were waiting for everyone, and turned his head to watch other people register. After a closer look, Wu Tong realized that there were quite a few people in the group behind him who wanted to register for Luotian Daijiao. Chapter 238 The Talents Who Signed Up for the Competition. In addition to himself, Guruli, Kadoishi, Zioyen, Gabriel, and Rimuru, who he already knew. Among the people brought by others from their respective worlds, there are actually some people who plan to go to Luotian Dajio to have fun. And in the eyes of others, these people who signed up are all talents. The white-robed minister with the eye of Tyrant Song, one of the people brought by Guruli. The joyful man, God, Ahuan, Aha. One of the three oldest demon kings, the dragon demon Milim. The almighty thief, the final rider, Haidong Dashu. The master of the rebirth hall, Hu Tao, who was raised by the rock prince since childhood. The angel demon with god-level holy light, Vinit. The harisher of the fire, the firefly version of Kiana. The star core spirit, Xing, who has just taken on a human form and has just understood human nature, and is walking on the road of destruction and preservation. And the entangled fate spirit, Sanayuki, who was forcibly dragged here by Xing to sign up. Wu Tong counted them and suddenly realized that, with the 6 known people, there were 15 people who signed up this time. Interesting. I didn't expect that there were 15 of us who signed up. I don't know what interesting things will happen in tomorrow's competition. But it's good this way. What's fun about an unchanging future? This complete unknown is the future. Tomorrow's Luotian Dajio will definitely be very interesting. Wu Tong stroked his chin with his right hand, looking at the group of people who signed up in front of him with interest, but he was looking forward to tomorrow's competition. After all, with these guys here, tomorrow's competition will definitely not be peaceful. As for why? Don't you look at the composition of this group of talents? Xing, who believes that rules are meant to be broken, the joyful star god Oha, the white-clothed minister who doesn't play by the rules, the all-round thief Haidong Dashu, the peculiar walnut, the stupid Kiana and March 7. If you say that nothing will happen, let alone Wu Tong, I believe they themselves will not believe that this is possible, right? Soon, after everyone's registration was completed, Zhang Chulin led everyone to the old Taoist priest's residence to meet him. After all, visitors are guests, but if the visitors don't even have the intention to visit the host's house, it would be a bit unreasonable. In a simple and unpretentious little house, Zhang Zihui was looking at the registration form in his hand with a sad face. Haha, old Taoist priest, we meet again. It seems that you have been doing well during this period. Looking at the old Taoist priest in front of him, who was calm and relaxed and dressed in a simple Taoist robe, Wu Tong smiled and greeted him. Little Wu Tong, you are a bit unethical. At this moment, looking at the registration form in his hand, the old Taoist priest had a bitter face. Originally, I thought that even if there were people in the chat group who would sign up, there shouldn't be many people, so they would just participate. At most, I would shamelessly go to someone and tell them to let them go a little, and then bribe them a little to be an insider. But the result was something he didn't expect. There were actually 15 people participating in this Luotian Dajio. This made Zhang Zihui dumbfounded. Even if he lost everything, he couldn't bribe so many people, right? How could a small Luotian Dajio like me be so virtuous and capable that I could welcome so many powerful people? Feeling the unfathomable and unknown strength of Wu Tong and others, the old master knew that Wu Tong had surpassed him by a lot. Even though his current strength had improved a lot, Wu Tong's strength was like taking a plane, improving faster. This made the old master sigh with emotion, and he couldn't help but feel bitter in his heart, as if all his years of practice had been wasted. Haha, it's just for fun. Don't worry, old master, I will never let your layout have any problems. Wu Tong smiled awkwardly. It was indeed not very authentic for them to do this. They only thought about bullying the weak and didn't consider Zhang Zihui's feelings at all. After registering, Wu Tong realized this. Yes, old master, it's just for fun. By the way, is Zhang Chulin still the final winner you arranged? Guruli also obviously thought of this and hurriedly agreed. That was originally the plan, but now it seems that it should be a bit difficult for Zhang Chulin to win. At this point, the old master looked at the embarrassed crowd with resentment. He didn't think that Zhang Chulin could beat these guys. But it didn't matter. After all, other big things would happen at this Luotian Grand Ceremony. Quan Xing's attack on the mountain and cooperation with the country, these two big news, are enough to cover up the popularity of Luotian Grand Ceremony. At most, someone will find a few water troops to divert traffic. Whoever wins first place will not be important. It's just that this time it will be difficult for those kids. At such a young age, they have to face such a powerful opponent. Alice. Thinking of this, The old master sighed quietly, and couldn't help but feel sad for the younger generation who were about to suffer a major blow. Others also noticed the old Taoist's resentment, and stopped talking one after another, so as not to disturb the old man who was obviously in a bad mood. After a while, Xiao Yan suddenly remembered that he had just planned to ask the old Taoist about the barrier. After hesitating for a while, he finally said, "Old Taoist, when we signed up just now, we discussed something and wanted to ask for your opinion." Then, Xiao Yan gave the choice of whether to set up a barrier to prevent Quanxing from escaping to the old Taoist. After hearing this, the old Taoist pondered for a long time, and finally shook his head slowly and said, "Forget it. If Quanxing is really forced so hard, they will inevitably jump over the wall in desperation. In this case, the consequences will be extremely serious in the end." After saying that, looking at the people who were hesitant to speak, he smiled kindly and said, "I know you are very powerful, but it is better to be cautious in this matter. I don't want this place where dragons and tigers practice to become a bloody hunting ground." The old Taoist said this, and everyone had to agree with the old Taoist's idea and put the idea of setting up a barrier behind their minds. After this episode, the old master's mood gradually improved, and the atmosphere among the crowd gradually eased. Then, after learning that Wu Tong and others had arrived, Mr. Lu Jin and Zuo Rutong and others who had rushed over also arrived one by one. After that, everyone started chatting in this small room, and by the way, they arranged for Quanxing and the people above to entertain. Chapter 239, Fengxing Tong's Chat. On the morning of the same day, the sun was rising. On the back of Longhu Mountain, a ray of orange-red sunlight rose from the eastern sky and shone on this famous Taoist mountain, causing a haze in a myriad of rosy clouds. 4 weathered martial arts arenas stood on the top of the mountain, waiting for the contestants to enter. At this moment, this mountain has welcomed many strange people. In addition to the applicants, there are more spectators who are ready to enjoy this grand event. The crowd was bustling and it was so lively when they gathered together. "My dear brother Tong, have you drawn the number? Is it from which field?" Zhang Yulin drew his number from the Taoist priest, who announced the lottery numbers in front of him and looked at it. "B. Moshe." Then he quickly squeezed in front of Wu Tong and asked with a playful smile. Wu Tong looked at the number in his hand and said casually, "I drew it. It's from the A field. A flower deer. Fortunately, it's not with me." Hearing Wu Tong's words, Zhang Yulin was relieved. "Haha, it seems a little early for you to be happy. Why don't you ask others? What if there are people in the same field as you? Are you so confident that you can beat them?" Wu Tong smiled and reminded. "How can that be possible? I don't have that kind of confidence. It's not urgent yet. I'm going to ask." Zhang Yulin immediately shook his head and denied it. He knew very well that even if these guys came to help him, even if he would win in the end, he would definitely suffer a lot. What's more, the participants this time were not only the people in the group, but also a group of people who were just having fun. People like Xing, Huan, and Minister Bai might not necessarily follow the discussion. Afterwards, Zhang Yulin, who knew Wu Tong's event arrangement, immediately said goodbye to Wu Tong. Then he ran to the people who were called the most restored Kozer group by the aliens present and asked. Wu Tong looked at Zhang Yulin's departing back, smiled and shook his head, without saying anything. Arena A. It looks like it will start soon. Wu Tong's eyes slowly moved to the first arena on the left among the 4 martial arts arenas in front of him, and his eyes were full of expectations. I wonder if there will be contestants from other worlds brought by group members among the opponents I will meet soon. The 4 arenas, from left to right, are A, B, C, and D, and Wu Tong's number, A flower deer, means that Wu Tong will compete in the first arena. However, this is only the first round of eliminations, in the form of a 4-person melee, to screen out the not-so-powerful aliens. In this way, the aliens who are good enough and more powerful will be selected to enter the second round. From the second round onwards, the competition system becomes a one-on-one format. At that time, the real battle will begin. Therefore, although Wu Tong is somewhat looking forward to the first round of competition, he does not have great expectations. After all, although the competition is a group of 4, it is not so easy to select 2 people from the 15 people in the hundreds of people to be in the same competition field. Just when Wu Tong was thinking, a very handsome but very cheerful voice came. "Are you the legendary Wu Tong?" Wu Tong looked up and looked around. No one? Then who is this voice? Before Wu Tong finished wondering, the voice rang again. Look down. Although I am indeed a little short, but your movements are too discouraging. Hearing this, Wu Tong looked down and saw a white-haired boy in sportswear looking at Wu Tong's movements with some depression, as if he was hurt by Wu Tong's actions just now. Wu Tong did not reply, and looked at the boy carefully. He looked about 15 or 16 years old, wearing sportswear, with a familiar personality, and white hair. It seems that I have some guesses. Well, I am indeed Wu Tong, but you are. Wu Tong first answered the boy's question, and then asked uncertainly. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Feng Xingtong. I am one of the 10 masters and the son of Feng Zhenghao, the president of the Xiangsha Association. Brother Tong, you can just call me Xingtong. Hearing Wu Tong's words, Feng Xingtong immediately raised his head and showed a silly smile. Sure enough, it was Feng Xingtong. In the original work, the poor little boy whose elders were taken away by Wang Bing using the spirit binding and general sending techniques was quite angry when he saw it. It seems that this is why he dislikes Wang Bing. While thinking, Wu Tong asked in surprise, Oh, Xingtong, what do you mean by the legend you mentioned? By the way, have I become a legend now? Wu Tong touched his face narcissistically. He really couldn't imagine how he suddenly became a legendary figure. Although he is indeed very handsome, it seems that this is his second time in this world, right? Wu Tong looked directly at the white-haired boy in front of him, ready to listen to his explanation. Brother Tong, don't you know? When you and Zhang Chulan came to Longhu Mountain more than a month ago, didn't you encounter many people from Guangxing chasing you? I heard that there were more than 30 sieges. I heard from some people that you seem to have solved all those people from Guangxing. You are really amazing. I heard that you solved all these more than 30 sieges by yourself, Brother Tong. Later, although you never went down the mountain after you went to Longhu Mountain, your experience has been circulating in the alien world. Your deeds have attracted many people's pursuit. Speaking of this, Feng Xingtong slowed down, and then as if he remembered something, he smiled and said, By the way, Brother Tong, you have a nickname now, which is widely circulated in the alien world. I wonder if you have heard of it. Hearing this, Wu Tong realized that a month ago, he also came to the world of one person. At that time, he was not as powerful as he is now, so he was almost injured many times during the sieges organized by Guangxing more than 30 times. Haha, I almost forgot, Guangxing? Thinking of this, Wu Tong sneered in his heart, and the killing intent gradually rose in his heart towards Guangxing, who came to Luotian Dejiao this time. Originally, Wu Tong had not planned to attack Guangxing as one of his goals, but now it seems that it is better to completely wipe out the evil organization of Guangxing. After all, this is for the stability of the alien world. Wu Tong thought to himself. However, after hearing the nickname Feng Xingtong said, Wu Tong quickly refocused his attention on him. Chapter 240. As we all know, if a nickname is not given by oneself, it is definitely a mixture of good and bad, and the same is true for one's own nickname. If it is given by fans, it is not bad. After all, with a fan's love for their idols, they will never give him a very frustrating nickname. But if it is given by an enemy, it is not certain. Thinking of this, Wu Tong couldn't help but get a little nervous. He didn't want to walk in the crowd with a nickname that would make him socially dead. After all, he has to save face. So Wu Tong asked nervously, Xingtong, what is my nickname? If I remember correctly, Mr. Wu Tong, your nickname seems to be Impermanence. Impermanence? Not bad. Evil spirits take souls, and impermanence takes lives. According to the killings caused by himself at that time, this name is indeed appropriate. But is there something wrong with this voice? It doesn't sound like the voice of Feng Xingtong. Wu Tong looked down and saw that Feng Xingtong didn't speak, but looked behind him with a look of surprise. Seeing Feng Xingtong's eyes, Wu Tong also followed Feng Xingtong's side and looked back. A middle-aged man with white hair who exuded a sloppy look in a messy overall image, who was not often groomed, appeared in front of him. The man was holding a cigarette in his hand and walked towards this side while smoking. There were two people following him, a man and a woman. The woman was wearing a brown employee uniform of Natotong Express. She was a girl with a peaked cap, sloppy all over, but with a very good figure. Even the loose Natotong uniform, worn on the girl, could not cover the exquisite figure. The man next to him was wearing a straight suit and glasses. He looked gentle, like the image of a company leader. Aren't these brothers Su San and Su Si and sister Bao from Natotong? Looking at the person coming, Wu Tong's eyes moved, and he directly judged the information of the person coming based on these characteristics. Hello, Mr. Wu Tong, nice to meet you. My name is Su Si, I am the person in charge of the North China region of Natatong. I came here with instructions from the top. These two are my brother Su Sen, and Feng Bao, a staff member of our company. Su Si smiled and said when he saw Wu Tong's eyes moving over. While speaking, he winked at the same time, as if conveying some information. Fourth brother, why did you suddenly take my job? At this time, Feng Xingtong came back to his senses from his astonishment, looked at Su Si in front of him, and said with a bitter smile. Little brat, go play aside. I have something to talk to Mr. Wu Tong now. Don't disturb your fourth brother. They were respectful to Wu Tong because they learned some news about Wu Tong and others from the upper level. But he was not so polite to Feng Xingtong. After all, strictly speaking, the Xiangxihu organization was under the jurisdiction of Su Si. After all, the headquarters of Xiangxi Group was located in the North China region, and Su Si, as the person in charge of the North China region, could naturally control and manage Xiangxihu to a certain extent. So Su Si naturally had no patience for Feng Xingtong. Okay, then brother Tong, I'll leave first and come back to play with you later. Hearing Su Si's words, Feng Xingtong immediately realized that they were going to discuss something that was not convenient for him to listen to. So Feng Xingtong was very tactful and left, and waved goodbye to Wu Tong before leaving. What's the matter? After Feng Xingtong walked away, Wu Tong turned his deep gaze back to Su Si and said faintly, Haha, Mr. Wu Tong, there is indeed something to discuss with you. Before coming here this time, we actually contacted the old Taoist priest and heard about you from him. I heard that you have a lot of good things, so this time I came mainly to trade with you on behalf of the country, Su Si said as he took a folder handed over by Su San. Just as he was about to hand the thing in his hand to Wu Tong, Wu Tong waved his hand to interrupt him and said directly, Okay, forget about these extra things, there is no need to prepare such troublesome things. Since you know my origins from the old Taoist priest, then you must also know the purpose of my visit this time, right? Su Si couldn't help but sigh when he heard Wu Tong's words. Sure enough, he was afraid of trouble just like the intelligence said, but it was good this way. It was very convenient to be straightforward and saved him from talking too much. Sure enough, this kind of professional thing should be done by Su San. I am really not suitable for these things. Su Si's mind was full of thoughts, but his face remained calm as he said, Of course I know. I have heard from the old master about Mr. Wu Tong's goal in coming to our world this time. Are you here to find a teacher from the academy? After hearing this, Wu Tong nodded, and then said, Since you know, it will be easy. Prepare a group of teachers for me, from all walks of life, all disciplines, and professions. In addition, I will take Xiao Zizhe, Chen Duo, Ma Zianhong, and a few others with me. In exchange, I can let you choose any 10 copies of the technology in my hands, plus 5 resurrection coins and the extraordinary system called the God Ring Master. I believe you have also heard about the upcoming spiritual energy revival. These technologies are enough for you to maintain the existing order in this transformation, simple and crude, but I like it. After hearing Wu Tong's words, Su Si immediately thought of this sentence. A straightforward personality can indeed save a lot of trouble. But Su San, who was standing aside, was a little confused after hearing these requests. He could understand that Wu Tong took away teachers of various professions. After all, Wu Tong was originally looking for teachers. But Wu Tong also wanted to take Ma Zianhong away. What about Xiao Zizhe and Chen Duo? Although he didn't know Ma Zianhong, he had heard of Chen Duo and Xiao Zizhe. They were both troublesome people. Adhering to the good quality of asking questions when you don't understand, Su San asked the question after brewing his emotions. In response, Wu Tong just chuckled and said, It's just cherishing talents. I can accept people you can't accommodate, and I also have ways to solve their problems. At least after following me, I can guarantee that they will have a bright future, instead of dying miserably in your world at some point in the future. Okay. So that's it, I said. Hearing this, Su Si, who was standing aside, had already made up his mind. Chapter 241 Entering, Is the Opponent an Acquaintance? The book continues from the last time, but Su Si was just a person who explored the way for the higher-ups. Even if he had some ideas in his mind, he was not qualified to make a decision on it, so Su Si could only say, Mr. Wu Tong, this matter is of great importance. To be honest, with my authority, I cannot decide such a major matter. I wonder if you can wait for a while, let me report to the higher-ups, and let the higher-ups make the decision." Wu Tong nodded, and did not refuse Su Si's plan. He handed over a bracelet and explained casually, "This is a smart bracelet. It contains a list of technology exchanges that I have listed, and a detailed introduction to the relevant technologies. If you agree, then come to me directly with the names of the technologies you are going to exchange. Just remember that you can only choose 10, don't worry, Mr. Wu Tong, I will send the things over when I have time, and I will definitely give you an answer as soon as possible." After taking the bracelet, Su Si fiddled with it for a while, and found that he didn't know how to operate it, so he shamelessly asked for instructions on how to operate it. After learning, Su Si couldn't put down the smart bracelet while playing with it, and checked the exchange list mentioned by Wu Tong. Su Si was shocked when he saw it. New elements, superconducting material technology, new energy technology, spiritual weapon technology, strong fusion gun, nano-machine cluster technology, soul guide technology series, controlled nuclear fusion technology, fusion warrior technology, gene warrior technology. The more Su Si looked, the more shocked he was. He couldn't imagine that Wu Tong was just a person, but he could master so many technologies. In addition to being surprised, he couldn't stop being happy. He believed that with these things, the country's rise was inevitable. Even in the era of spiritual revival in a while, the country could ensure the stability of order. You know, although Su Laosi is a gangster who likes to smoke, drink, and pick up girls, he is actually a patriot in his heart. He still has a sincere patriotic heart. After roughly skimming through it, Su Si put away the bracelet solemnly, ready to copy the content and send it over in a while. As for the rest, leave it to the higher-ups to consider. After that, after the deal was made, Wu Tong started chatting with Su San and Su Si. Not long after, with the voice of a Taoist priest in the distance, the call for the giant hulu player to enter the field sounded. Wu Tong then realized that it was time for him to go on stage. It seems that it is my turn to go on stage. Let's talk later, third brother, fourth brother, sister Baor." After hearing the voice, Wu Tong chuckled and said to the Su brothers next to him, "Okay, we have plenty of time. We can chat any time. You should go to the game first. Business is more important." Su San was not surprised to hear Wu Tong's words and responded directly. Although he didn't know why Wu Tong was so strong, he still wanted to participate in such a childish activity. Wu Tong, to bully the weak, what else? But if the other party went on stage, it would be a good opportunity to understand Wu Tong's strength, collect necessary data, and deal with the tasks assigned by the superiors. "Okay, brother Wu Tong, you can do whatever you want, don't worry about us," Su Si also said with a smile. "Wu Tong, come on." Feng Bao on the side also made a cheering gesture. Wu Tong smiled back, then stood up and walked straight to the direction of the martial arts arena. Inside the martial arts arena, as Wu Tong gradually walked into the martial arts arena, a voice came along. "The contestants are here. Those who lose consciousness or voluntarily admit defeat will be eliminated, and those who hurt people's lives will be eliminated and severely punished. The rules have been explained, and the contestants can start fighting." As the disciples of the Xianxi mansion on the field explained the rules, the competition officially began. After hearing this, Wu Tong did not rush to fight, but began to look at the three opponents in front of him. As a result, when he looked at it, why did the three people on the opposite side suddenly stand together? Wait, something is wrong. The appearance of these three people. Wu Tong carefully observed the three people in front of him again. The one on the far right is short and fat, with a mustache on his face, a head shaped like an egg, and a little fat man wearing a red sweater and black shorts. The man standing in the middle is a man with a big white back-combed hair, a cigarette in his mouth, wearing a white shirt and gray shorts, and a smile on his mouth that looks very cunning. The man on the far left is wearing a gold earring, smoking a cigarette, wearing a military green camouflage vest and blue trousers, and looks like a gangster. This is an acquaintance. Wu Tong suddenly found that he seemed to know these three people. But Wu Tong knew them, but they didn't know him. Wu Tong knew these three people in the anime. I have to say that although there are some differences between reality and anime, these three people still look very distinctive. Tianjin Wei Ziatao In, Liu Fang, Guan Linger, Zhang Ke. Three funny people in the original book. It seems that Sister Bayor did not participate in the Luotian Daijiao this time, and their opponent was replaced by himself. Wu Tong was surprised and regretful. It seems that I didn't line up with those guys. Forget it, let's finish it quickly and go to other venues. Maybe we can encounter some interesting things in other venues. Thinking of this, Wu Tong looked at the eyes of the three people in front of him and gradually became a little more serious. In the spectator seats on the side, Su San, Su Si and Feng Bao came to this audience seat after Wu Tong left to watch Wu Tong's performance. Hey, isn't this Yuanjing Wei Zhao Tao Yuan? Why are they here? By the way, I remember that some time ago, Bao and I locked them in a container and threw them into the sea. Su Si saw Wu Tong's opponent and said in surprise. It's okay, sir, if it doesn't work, I can just throw it to them again. Feng Bao, who was on the side, didn't have any expression when he saw the three people. It was not until he heard Su Si's words that he remembered the identities of the three people. A trace of doubt appeared on his face, but this doubt was fleeting, and followed by the desire to throw these three guys back into the sea again. Asshole Su Si, I was just away on a business trip for a few days. What did you do? Also, what did you teach Bayor? I knew Bayor wouldn't learn anything good from you. Su San, who was standing by, saw this and was immediately furious. He was just away for a while on business. Chapter 242, Master of Yin Yang studies Wu Tong. How come Bayor has become so cruel? Now he has learned to throw people into the sea? It must be the old bastard Su Si who ordered him to do this. Thinking of this, Su San could not help but nod his head. That's right, Bayor is so well behaved, how could he do such a thing? It must be the guy Su Si who ordered him to do this. And Bayor, you stay still, don't try to take the opportunity to run up, they are competing now, you can't go up. Also, since the three of them have been punished and haven't done anything bad now, even if you want to fight, you have to follow the rules. We are a company, not a gang. Don't just fight without thinking. After yelling at Su Si, Su San glanced at Feng Bao's position, but saw that Feng Bao had already taken out the iron tug and was ready to rush up. Seeing this scene, Su San hurriedly stopped him with earnest words. My dear little ant, this is Longhu Mountain. Even if we are from the company, we can't be so lawless. Not to mention, if we fight, we are not on the right. Okay, hearing Su San's words, Feng Bao seemed to have turned into a simple Q version image with a two-head body, and blinked cutely. After a long silence, he finally spoke back. Let's not talk about the interesting things that happened to the Su brothers. The scene shifted to the martial arts field at the moment. The three people from Yuanjin Wei Zhao Tao Yuan did not rush to fight, but looked at Wu Tong with a sly smile. At the same time, several people began to talk nonsense. Zhang Ke took a step forward and began to greet the surroundings. Everyone present, do you know the three of us brothers? Some don't know us. We agreed in advance that the three of us brothers didn't cheat. What? It's fate. Liu Feng on the side also said, it's fate. Today I'll see, is that unlucky thing going to fight with the three of us brothers? How about we call Little Peach Garden? After saying that, the three of them burst into laughter, and in the laughter, there was a sense of being arrogant when a villain succeeds. After laughing for a while, the three of them looked at Wu Tong's position. Zhang Ke looked at Wu Tong's face and spoke first. Hey, you're still a child, don't be afraid, the uncles will be very gentle, Zhang Ke said, while he kept laughing. Although Wu Tong grew up a little faster, at the age of 12, he almost had the body and appearance of an 18-year-old. But there is still a hint of immaturity between his eyebrows. If an experienced person takes a look, he will immediately understand that Wu Tong is not actually very old. This has nothing to do with appearance, it is purely a matter of time. In fact, Wu Tong's immaturity was not very noticeable among the handsome men and beautiful women in the Dimension group. But now, when compared with the three uncle-level Zhao Taoyuan, the effect is instantly highlighted. You three are Zhao Taoyuan. Oh, I'm so scared. Wu Tong was originally a little unhappy with the three people's slow behavior. When he heard Zhang Ke's words, he couldn't bear it anymore, so he spoke directly. The weird tone in his voice must be impossible for any normal person to not hear. Oh, I didn't expect this kid to have a bad temper. Hearing Wu Tong's weird tone, Guanlinger was quite surprised. As for being angry, the three people were not really angry. Although the three of them were gangsters, they were the kind of people who didn't commit big mistakes. But they kept committing small mistakes. In fact, They didn't have the idea of committing big crimes. As for being expelled from the sect, it was just because they couldn't stand the cumbersome and strict rules, not because they really committed some unforgivable bin mistakes. So for Wu Tong, this opponent who looked like a child, although the three of them didn't say anything, they were actually quite tolerant. Haha, okay, since this kid can't wait, let's do it quickly, brothers, get started. Zhang Ke waited for Guanlinger to finish speaking, and also called out, ready to teach Wu Tong a lesson. Kid, if you lose later, don't cry, Liu Fang also smiled and said. Then, the three of them, under the gaze of everyone in the audience, circulated the ki in their bodies together. The audience present were all extraordinary people, so they could naturally see the arrogance that suddenly erupted from the three of them. Three blazing arrogances like torches instantly rose from the three of them. A burst of momentum gushed out, causing a gust of wind and sand to stir, and smoke and dust rose up. The scene in the field suddenly had a tense feeling. Don't worry, kid, we won't do it too hard. At most, we will beat your face black and blue. Liu Fang looked at Wu Tong's motionless appearance, thinking that Wu Tong was scared, so he comforted him. But this comfort felt more like an ugly guy's dissatisfaction with a handsome guy. Wu Tong's mouth twitched, and he couldn't help but have a murderous intention from the heart towards these three life treasures. Who gave you the courage to attack my handsome face, Liang XX? Before Wu Tong could continue to think, the three people on the opposite side took action. I saw that the innate ki of the three people in Xiao Taoyuan was stirring, and the surging energy instantly filled their bodies. Liu Fang, Guanlinger and Zhang Ke moved almost at the same time. Wow, with a burst of air-breaking sound, the figures of the three people, with a blessing of ki, suddenly burst out, like an arrow from a bow, rushing towards Wu Tong. Wherever they passed, the swift speed brought about a strong wind, carrying a piece of wind and sand flying into the sky. And the speed, which was extremely terrifying in the eyes of others, was like the speed of a snail crawling in the eyes of Wu Tong, just like a slow motion played frame by frame. Watching the three people rushing over, Wu Tong raised his right hand slowly. The power of the ruler of reason, analysis of structure. With a surge of blue light, an M500 revolver that Wu Tong was very familiar with gradually emerged in Wu Tong's hand from nothing, pointing at the three people who were sprinting on the opposite side. Sizzle, a sound like an emergency brake suddenly sounded. The figures of Xiao Tao Idner and the other two instantly changed from an extremely dynamic state to an extremely static state. Looking at the black muzzle of the gun in Wu Tong's hand facing the three of them, Xiao Tao Idner and the other two immediately broke out in a cold sweat. Don't think that because the aliens have some abilities that surpass ordinary people, you can't treat them as human beings. If the aliens were not human beings, how could the world still be controlled by ordinary people? Chapter 243 Wu Tong, All Kinds of Martial Arts, This is American IAI. Continued from the last chapter, Extraordinary People. What are extraordinary people? In fact, the so-called extraordinary people, after all, are just people who are different from ordinary people. And these extraordinary people, even if they have some extraordinary abilities, in the final analysis, they are still mortals. As long as they are operated properly, a knife can easily take the life of an extraordinary person. Not to mention that at this moment, the child opposite is not holding a knife, but the most terrifying weapon made by humans since ancient times, a gun. No, this is not right, right? Zhang Ke and the other two looked at the revolver held out by the child opposite, and they dared not move immediately. They turned their heads stiffly and shouted to the Taoist priest in the referee seat. Did you say it's an extraordinary competition? Why are they carrying guns? It's not just Xiao Taoyuan and the other two. Some people in the audience on the stage also began to discuss. Is this a gun? Yes, it does seem to be a gun. No, isn't this the Luotian Dajio competition for aliens? How can they use guns? Is this cheating? No, it shouldn't be. I think the gun seems to have gradually formed from his hand. This should be his ability. His ability? Is this guy a congenital alien? Imagination materialization? Creation of objects? Or material transformation? Oh my god, congenital aliens are outrageous. Their abilities are so bizarre. The loan sharking of the four madmen Shen Chong, Xiaohe's bone scraper, Miss Feng of the Xiangsha Group's space control, and this kid's congenital abilities. Why do I feel like I've been living a dog's life all these years? Brother, you're not alone. Fuck, this is simply unfair. It's okay for him to be so handsome, but now he has such a strong congenital ability. This guy is simply a winner in life. If the gun is real, then how do the others play? Oh, good question. I'm curious too. I wonder how the Taoist priests of Longhu Mountain will judge. After all, this is also someone's ability. You can't just ban it, right? Who knows? But this good show is really interesting. Look at the three people in Taoyuan. As soon as the young man took out his gun, the three guys immediately knelt down. Sister, do you think that young man is handsome? Yeah, he is really handsome. Lingayu's Henrun, Quing, plus this handsome brother. How should I choose? It's so hard to choose. I feel that no matter which one I choose, it is disrespectful to the other two, in the audience. Although the topic of the crowd was getting more and more off topic, some people still focused their attention on Wu Tong in the field. Oh my god, brother Wu Tong is really wild? He actually took out a gun directly. Susie looked at Wu Tong's actions with a shocked face. With the information he got, he naturally knew Wu Tong's strength, but this Wu Tong did not play by the rules at all. Whose good man takes out a gun during a martial arts competition? Susan looked at the four people who were confronting each other below, and then looked at the small notebook on his lap that he was going to use to record Wu Tong's information. After a long silence, he closed the notebook without making a sound. At this moment, Susan's heart, degree Cyrillic letter D degree. What a scam. This is. What is there to record? Wow, Feng Bao looked at the gun in Wu Tong's hand, her eyes shining, her heart full of excitement. She is very interested in guns. When she saw them on TV before, she always wanted to play with those guns, but she never had the opportunity to get a gun. Over time, Feng Bao slowly gave up this idea. But now after seeing the gun in Wu Tong's hand, Feng Bao's little thoughts in her heart were aroused again. I want it so much, I want it so much, I want it so much in the martial arts arena. Xiao Taoyuan and the other two have begun to mutter and shout. Cheating, cheating, this is obviously a foul, right? Yes, this is too unfair. The gun has been taken out. How can we fight? Restrict. We must restrict this little brat from using guns. The Taoist priest in the referee seat was also in a dilemma when listening to the discussion of Xiao Taoyuan and other spectators. In this case, how should he judge? Restrict? Maybe this is the only method they have? After the restriction, will they still play? Besides, there is no rule in Luotian Daijiao that prohibits contestants from using weapons. No restriction? But in this case, how can other play? Who can beat it? That's a gun. Except for some special people, I'm afraid no one can beat it. At this time, the Taoist priest, who was a little headache, glanced at Wu Tong inadvertently. Seeing that Wu Tong had already started to yawn out of boredom. Seeing this scene, the Taoist priest's eyes immediately lit up. Yes, I don't know what to do. Why not throw this problem to the creator of the problem? So the Taoist priest said directly, Contestant Wu Tong, this is a competition between aliens. Isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to take out a gun directly, is there? Wu Tong tilted his head and said in a puzzled manner, but this is my ability. You can't prohibit me from using my ability, right? Besides, the inability to resist firearms can only be attributed to their own lack of strength. Can this be blamed on me? It seems to make some sense. Forget it, there is nothing wrong with what Wu Tong said. This is someone else's ability. Why can't I use it? Let's just leave it like that. After thinking for a while, the Taoist priest also started to play badly. After the Taoist priest glanced at the three people from Xiao Taoyuan, he said directly, what Wu Tong said makes some sense. This is someone else's ability. In addition, the use of weapons is not prohibited in this competition, so he did not commit a foul. The game continues, it's over. The opponent was not successfully prohibited from using firearms. When the three people from Xiao Taoyuan heard the Taoist priest announce the result, they immediately realized that the matter was a foregone conclusion and there was nothing they could do. Suddenly, the three people were ashamed, and everyone exuded a deadly atmosphere. Can we continue? Then I will start. Wu Tong didn't care about the looks of the three people, and smiled and said directly, Uncles, be careful, my American AI is not easy to receive. Wait. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244, Me family game characters fight. Admit defeat. We admit defeat. That's right. This kid will be my brother from now on. How can we fight with my brother? That's right. We happily admit defeat. The three funny guys quickly admitted defeat in a few words. Nonsense. How can we fight this? There is no way to fight this. You know, that's American IAI. If this move lands on them, it won't be bruises all over, it will be holes all over the place. If they don't admit defeat, what else can they do? The game is over. Wu Tong wins. The Taoist priest who served as the referee didn't waste any more time. After the three people admitted defeat, he announced directly. Then, after the game was over, the three funny guys gathered beside Wu Tong and showed their courtesy. Tanger, your innate ability is really amazing. By the way, Tanger, have you eaten? If not, let's go eat something together. Tanger, with your strength, you will definitely win first place in this Lu Ocean Grand Ceremony. Seeing this scene, the audience was silent. Only Susie was laughing crazily. Interesting, really interesting. By the way, how come these guys are still like this after such a long time? Bayor, look at that, Bayor. Susie was laughing and preparing to discuss the practices of Xiaotao Iduner and the other two with Feng Bao. But when he turned around, he found that Feng Bao was no longer in the audience. No, where's Bayor? Susan. Susie stared at Feng Bao's position in a daze. At this moment, there was no one there. He quickly turned his head and asked Susan, who was standing aside. Don't you know? Aren't you looking at Bao? Susan was also confused. Feng Bao has reached the point of being introverted, and with her unique physique, as long as she wants to hide, almost no one can detect Feng Bao's movements. That is why neither of them noticed Feng Bao's departure. Hey, brother, did you see the girl next to us? Susie quickly grabbed a spectator next to him and asked anxiously. He had to be anxious. Feng Bao was not being looked after by Zhang Qiulin now, and she was simple-minded and could easily be tricked. If the secret was exposed, their Su family would be attacked by the whole world. Are you talking about the girl who was wearing brown clothes and looked a little sloppy? The young man who was caught was confused at first, but after seeing Susie's urgent eyes, he gradually came to his senses and asked. Yes, I'm talking about that girl. Did you see her go there? Hearing the young man's words, Susie nodded quickly. Just now, after the Taoist priest announced that the competition was over, she seemed to have gone out, but she shouldn't have gone far. Seeing Susie's anxious look, the young man thought something had happened, and hurriedly explained enthusiastically. Hearing the young man's words, Susan, who had been waiting on the side, immediately set off and walked outside. When Susie saw him, he also walked outside, on another field, on the B field. Zhang Qiulin's opponents are still the same people in the original work, Passerby A, Passerby B, and the young man with the image of Xiao Yan. And things have proved that a creature like Lao Liu is still Lao Liu, even after he has strong strength. No matter how strong he is, he can't change his nature. Even with strong strength, Zhang Qiulin still has no intention of exposing his own strength, so, on the B field. The original famous scene of 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West was staged again. However, unlike the original, the props of this famous scene, the black robe, were borrowed by Zhang Qiulin from Xiao Yan, the founder of this famous scene. Tribute to me, this is definitely it. Just like that, after the game in the B field ended, Zhang Qiulin won an easy victory. The contempt and abuse of the crowd, Xiao Yan's rolling eyes and his group name Bu Yao Bilian. Zhang Qiulin, damn, as expected, this damn title finally came back to me. C field. It was a battle between Aha and three passers-by. The audience enjoyed a happy comedy directed by Aha himself. This happy comedy means that Aha used words to provoke the three opponents to fight against each other, but he decided to enjoy the fun. When the victory and defeat were decided, he strengthened the strength of the weak through small means, which immediately caused the reversal of strength and weakness and formed a change of situation. Make this battle full of drama. So Aha, who won in the end, was happily nicknamed Lucky Man by the audience. That's right, it was Lucky Man. In the eyes of the audience, it was Aha who provoked the three people to confront each other, and then when the three were exhausted, he jumped out and picked up three heads with tears. This behavior made the audience sigh at Aha's luck. A weak woman could actually win in this competition. She was really lucky. As for the Ding competition field, it was very lively. This competition happened to be composed of 4 aliens that Wu Tong had been looking for. And these 4 people are all from the same universe. These 4 people are Liu, Wang Shanghal Master, Hu Tao. Star Train, Star Core Spirit, Xing. Star Train, Entangled Fate Spirit, March 7. And Saint Freya Academy, Firefly, Kiana. If Wu Tong knew about this competition, he would definitely be very interested. After all, this is a fun battle he has always dreamed of. The Battle of Magia game characters, coupled with the attributes of the Battle of Beautiful Girls, not only Wu Tong is very interested, but also attracted many spectators. At this moment, the audience crowded together, paying attention to this battlefield composed of top cosers. After the 4 people came on stage and looked at each other, they immediately recognized that the others were not from this world. Feeling a little surprised, the lively and cheerful girls immediately started to greet each other. Hu Tao, hello, I am the 77th generation head of the Wang Shanghal. The Hu in Hu Tao means eating and drinking, but the Tao in Hu Tao does not mean naughty. By the way, are you interested in learning about the services of our Wang Shanghal? We are currently offering a limited time promotion. The second tablet is half price. The more you buy, the more you get. After hearing Hu Tao's greetings, Samyuki waved her hands and said, No, we are not at the stage where we need a funeral yet. Let's talk about this later. Funeral. Chapter 245 Kiana, I want Xing's bat so much? Continued from the last chapter. No. After hearing what Sanayuki said, Xing and Kiana, who were originally a little tempted, immediately suppressed the idea of wanting to take advantage of the situation. After suppressing the idea in their hearts, Xing and Kiana both looked at Hu Tao with complicated expressions, and then also declined Hu Tao's recommendation for the Wang Shanghal discount. After rejecting Hu Tao, the 3 were afraid that Hu Tao would be unhappy, so they prepared to introduce themselves and change the subject. Sanayuki spoke first, with a cheerful smile on his face, and waved his hand lively, saying, Hello, Hu Tao, I heard about you from Mr. Hongli. This girl is Sanayuki, the pioneer of the Star Dome train. I have been taken care of by Mr. Hongli before. Don't worry, when we fight later, I will hold back a little and will never let you get hurt. Hearing what Sanayuki said, Hu Tao smiled without saying a word. She was not a fool. Before going on the field, she had consulted Hongli to understand the situation. Naturally, she knew that her own strength was nothing in front of these people. Therefore, she did not refute what Sanayuki said. After all, people were going to hold back. If she questioned, what would she do if she got beaten? Walnut said that this was also her first time meeting Sanayuki. She didn't know much about Sanayuki's temperament and character, so it was normal for her to be wary, right? She didn't want to be beaten either. After Sanayuki finished speaking, the other 2 also started to introduce themselves. In front of outsiders, Kiana, who pretended to be a calm warrior, followed up with her self-introduction. I am Kiana Kaslana, a warrior of the Kaslana clan, a student of Saint Freya Academy, and also the Harsher of the Fire of this generation. Hello, everyone. Then, Xing also introduced herself, but her self-introduction was still very abstract. Hello, everyone, I am the Galaxy Batman, and also the pioneer of the Star Train. While Xing was talking, he took out his baseball bat and waved it in the air. But she didn't see that Kiana on the side was secretly staring at her baseball bat, and that look was full of shock and burning desire. Kiana, so cool, so handsome, and such a beautiful baseball bat. I think I want one. The audience in the auditorium were so happy when they saw this scene. Ha, it's worthy of being a star treasure. It's still very abstract. Hu Tao is the same. She's even promoting the funeral services of the Wang Shanghal to the Luotian Daijio. Master Hu, give me a service from the Wang Shanghal. Hey, I'm Hu Tao's Gu. Oh my god, why is there a fake person here? Hurry up and pull this fake person away. Look at Kiana's eyes, they're almost glued to Xing's baseball bat. It's really worthy of being the ancestral weapon of the Mi family, right? I didn't expect it to be so attractive. What a dedicated cozer. He's so dedicated. He even learned how to introduce himself. Yes, plus the costumes and appearance that are very similar to begin with. It looks like the game characters breaking through the dimensional wall and coming to reality. I didn't expect that March 7 had received help from Grandpa's Hongli. Dog-headed with slanted eyes and a smile. JPG, the wild history of the original god is playing for you. March 7 walked out of Divat. According to wild history, March 7 was a member of Tiamat before he lost his memory. As expected of an unofficial history, they really dare to write anything. Shocked, the characters of the Me family game met, and such a thing actually happened. You know what shock is? Report to the shock department tomorrow. Seeing this scene, guardians such as Jizi, Fu Hua and Zhongli were also somewhat relieved. It seems that they get along well, but this Miss Walnut is really interesting. Jizi took the coffee in her hand, took a sip elegantly, frowned slightly, and put the coffee away calmly. Dan Heng, Lao Yang, Mei Yi and Branaya on the side also looked at Zhongli in shock. Fu Hua had read the plot of the original God, so she was not surprised by what Walnut did, but her eyes also looked in the direction of Zhongli, with a mischievous look in her eyes. This girl, really, facing the strange eyes of everyone, Zhongli just stroked his forehead, his heart full of helplessness. You said, what kind of funeral services are you promoting during the game? Isn't this embarrassing? Just when Zhongli was feeling awkward and didn't know what to say, an audience member on the side suddenly exclaimed, "Stop talking, look at the stage, the fight has already started, on the martial arts stage." That's right, at this moment, the four people on the martial arts stage have already had some tense momentum. Just after Xing introduced himself, he suddenly attacked at a speed faster than thunder. While Sanayuki was still immersed in the joy of meeting new friends, he dodged and rushed behind Sanayuki. He raised the baseball bat wrapped with lightning in his hand, and took advantage of Sanayuki's inattention to smash it down. However, Sanayuki has not always been a slacker in the group. After so many battles, his perception of danger has long been trained to be very sensitive. Feeling the strong wind coming from behind him, Sanayuki dodged without thinking. Sanayuki's footsteps moved slightly, his body turned to one side, and he hurriedly took a step back. A baseball bat narrowly missed her body and hit the ground heavily, making a loud and dull sound. Bang! As the sound of a blunt object hitting an object rang out, a huge and deep pit instantly appeared where March 7 had been standing, with dozens of dense and twisted cracks spreading around it. From a distance, it looked like a huge spider web with a hole in the center. To make a supplementary setting, reason for weak combat performance, the group of people participating in the Luotian Dajio have set limits on their own output. Otherwise, if a bunch of Fate Walkers fight, not to mention a small Longhu mountain, even a city may be affected by the aftermath of the battle. Therefore, each contestant sets a threshold for himself, and can use various abilities, but the level cannot exceed this threshold. Once the power exceeding the threshold is used, it will be regarded as self-confession. So such a small destructive power is normal. After all, it is just for fun. If you really want to fight, a battlefield the size of a stadium is definitely not enough. The battles of the contestants of the Luotian Dajio are to compare the degree of control over their own methods at the same level. Chapter 246, 3 Fire Element Battle March 7th. After dodging the sudden attack, Sanayuki retreated quickly. At this moment, he also saw the culprit who attacked him. Xing, seeing Xing holding a baseball bat and appearing at the place where he was originally standing, Sanayuki exclaimed in surprise. "Don't blame me, little Sanayu, I had no choice." "Who told you that you are too strong?" Xing did not feel any guilt at all for Sanayuki's exclamation, but said with disdain. Xing was full of regret that his sudden attack did not succeed and the construction was not completed. Why did he not succeed? This was troublesome. After all, Sanayuki was a member of the chat group. Although she did not make much of the move in Balaberg, who knew how strong she was? You know, that chat group is a real cheat. People who cheat are the best at destroying the balance of the game. Xing thought of the scene of being cheated by the cheating dog Gauze when playing games on weekdays, and immediately made up her mind to exclude Sanayuki first, otherwise, there would be no need to play Luotian Dajio. Of course, Xing's attack force was also very precise, which would only knock Sanayuki unconscious and make her lose her fighting ability, and would not cause any harm to Sanayuki's body. After all, they are good friends. How could Xing bear to let Sanayu get hurt? Sanayuki, who was waiting for Xing to explain, was suddenly a little angry after hearing Xing's words. Her eyes were wide open, and her heart was full of dissatisfaction and anger. "Xing, you scum star core spirit, Xing, this guy, it was obviously her who pulled me to sign up, but now she wants to eliminate me first? How can this be? Don't you have any face? Wow, this girl is angry, and I must teach this scum star core spirit a lesson." Jizu was not very angry about Xing's behavior, because she knew the relationship between Xing and Xiao Sanayu very well. This level is not even considered as their usual playfulness, and they will not break up because of it. Alice, however, after seeing Xing's actions, GZ also understood Xing's plan and couldn't help but sigh. You miscalculated, Xing. Others may not know, but she knows very well that the current Xiao Sanayu is not the original Xiao Sanayu. The current Xiao Sanayu has integrated a Star Dome train into her martial soul. Therefore, Xiao Sanayu's martial soul has been strengthened by the Star Dome train, and her strength has been greatly enhanced. Let's not talk about other things for the time being. The infinite energy brought by the core power source of the Star Dome train is enough for Xiao Sanayu to launch big moves continuously, because the energy consumed by the attack is not Xiao Sanayu's energy at all. Thinking of this, GZ couldn't help but sigh again. Xingbao, if you offend Xiao Sanayu, you will be on your own. Zhongli and Fuhua on the side watched this scene without any ripples in their hearts. As members of the same group, they knew the strength of Sanayuki very well, so they were not surprised at the following battle scene. Isn't it natural that the strong are targeted first in this kind of competition? If we follow this logic, it is not difficult to understand why Xiao Sanayu is regarded as the first target of attack. At this moment, in the martial arts arena, Sanayuki, who has made up his mind to teach Xing a lesson, is also ready to take action. A whoosh sounded, and an ice bow instantly appeared in Sanayuki's hand. Sanayuki held a bow with one hand, raised the jade finger on his right hand, stretched out his hand to draw the bow, and an ice arrow instantly appeared on the ice bow. Humph, you want to eliminate me? Dream on. Xing, since you started it first, you don't have an easy time, watch me. As he spoke, Sanayuki drew his bow and drew his arrows. In just a moment, several ice arrows flew out of the bow and rushed towards Xing's position. There were several whoosh 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 sounds of breaking through the air. The ice blue arrows were like a rain curtain, rushing towards Xing. Hey, don't underestimate me, Xiao Sanayu. I've been working very hard in places you don't know. Xing smiled, then picked up the baseball bat in his hand and began to swing it in the air. The sound of the bat hitting the arrows was heard. The airtight baseball bat swung by Xing actually hid a blank area in the sky made of ice arrows without any trace. Xing stood there unscathed. Suddenly, the ice arrow sky suddenly stagnated. It was not that Sanayuki had no strength, but that he was shocked by what Xing had just said. Sanayuki's eyes and mouth were wide open at this moment, as if he had heard something incredible. She was stunned by Xing's shamelessness. Please forgive Xiao Sanayu for not knowing how to understand a person who, apart from eating, drinking and having fun every day, just sleeps and has fun. How can she have the face to say that she is working very hard? Xing doesn't care why Sanayuki stopped, she only knows that this is a good opportunity. So Xing, who finally had the strength to stop, immediately shouted at the two people who were watching the excitement, "What are you two doing? Hurry up and take action. If we don't take the lead in dealing with Xiao Sanayu, we won't even be able to get through the elimination round." Hearing Xing's words, Hu Tao and Kiana's eyes also shone, and they reacted immediately. So butterfly leads to life, use this wheel of flame to drive the heavenly way, and turn the circle of truth. With two delicate shouts, in an instant, flame butterflies and raging flames appeared out of thin air and rushed towards Sanayuki's position. Seeing this, Xing, who was standing aside, also had his eyes lit up, and calmly took out the Skyfire flame gun from his space equipment. Fate switch. Destruction preservation. When everything was ready, the flame gun held by Xing had a bang sound, and flames instantly ignited, sweeping across this space. Flame gun, charge. A flame suddenly shot out from the flame gun and roared towards Sanayuki. When the three attacks reached the mid-air, the three attacks made of flames gradually merged together. The violent and scorching flames swallowed and spit out fire snakes, as if they were going to burn everything around them. The fierce and violent flames emitted extremely high temperatures, scorching everything around them. Even the air seemed to be ignited by the flames and formed a sea of fire. The sea of fire carried infinite power and pressed down on March 7. March 7 was watching this scene and was almost furious. Well, you stinky Star Core spirit, you attack me by yourself, but now you are looking for others to attack me together. You are finished. Quotation mark. Chapter 247, The Starry Sky Train appears, audience's shock. Continued from the last chapter, 6-phase ice shield deployed. Facing the combined siege of 3 people, Sanayuki did not dare to be careless. After all, Although her strength had improved, in fact, it had not improved much. After all, not everyone is like Wu Tong, who has grown rapidly in just over a month and has now entered the 4th level. Sanayuki complained in her heart, but her hands were not slow. Sanayuki's mind moved, and a large piece of 6th-phase ice was instantly constructed. A semicircular, 1-meter-thick protective shield was formed, covering Sanayuki himself. The surging power of preserving life was fully infused into the protective shield formed by the 6th-phase ice by Sanayuki, making its defense even stronger. Hualala, at the moment when the 6th-phase ice and the flame came into contact, a large piece of water vapor and smoke suddenly rose. The billowing white smoke spread instantly, and in a moment, it covered everything in the field. In the audience, as expected, they are professional posers in the alien version. They not only imitated the appearance, personality and looks, but even the skills. Only us aliens can imitate such skills. Ordinary people don't have such extraordinary powers. Even if they are posers, they can only coser the appearance of the characters, but cannot simulate the soul. Why do I feel like you are not a coser? Are you two-dimensional, huh? No, if not, why do you ask such a question? Use your brain. How can a virtual character appear in the real world? It's impossible to think about it. By the way, are you a little off topic? These girls are so powerful, and the power of this combined attack technique is really great. They are powerful, but isn't the power a bit too great? Hurry up and save people. By the way, why are these little girls so violent when they fight? Oh my god, you are right. Hurry up and save people. With such a big fire, what will happen to people? Although the audience all agreed that Sanayuki would be in trouble after this attack, Zing, Walnut and Kiana did not relax their vigilance, but watched the situation in the mist with a nervous look. It was because they knew clearly that they could not defeat Sanayuki with the power of the previous attack. After all, Sanayuki was a member of the chat group and had many defensive means. Obviously, their guess was not wrong. Just as they were looking at the mist vigilantly, the sound of a train starting gradually sounded and gradually became louder in the martial arts field. Woo woo woo, the sound came from far to near, from loud to small. In a short while, a train was built on a silver track that appeared out of thin air, running above the void, breaking through the mist, and appearing in front of everyone. The retro appearance of the train unexpectedly gave people a feeling of being full of unknown and mystery. Looking at this train that suddenly appeared, all the audience looked very strange, for no other reason. They all knew this train. The familiar shape and appearance of the figure made everyone recognize the origin of this train at a glance. Isn't this the Starry Sky train? But now it is obvious that no one will answer their questions, because the people on the stage are busy fighting. HMPH, Zing, you are a little baby who is less than 1 year old, you really deserve a beating. As the saying goes, children can't be made without beatings. So, are you ready? This girl will not let you go this time, okay? As the voice sounded, a figure gradually walked out of the mist. Sanayuki's voice sounded, looking at the 3 people opposite him, his eyes were full of seriousness and anger. When Sanayuki's figure walked out, everyone present was surprised and their eyes almost popped out. Nothing else. It was because at this time, Sanayuki had 6 black circles floating behind him. These extremely familiar black circles, plus the Starry Sky train that suddenly appeared out of thin air before. Everyone was young, and they had watched the recent popular anime, so how could they not know what this was? Wuhan, and Soul Ring. In the audience. Well, isn't this a bit too complicated? March 7 from the Star Iron world uses the martial soul from the Douluo world, and is at the Soul Emperor level. Most importantly, the martial soul is actually the Starry Sky train? This is too wild, right? Shocked. Did the Starry Sky train derail, or did the Douluo Continent cheat? Brother, give me a slap. I think I'm dreaming. Oh my god, where did this hodgepodge come from? What the hell is all this? I originally thought that this kind of scene could only be seen in some secondary creations. I didn't expect that I would see this scene in reality now. Hey, 6-6, awesome. I still have a feeling that they seem to be here in person. Is this really the real person? Can your March 7 use a martial soul? I think this should be the March 7 from the secondary creation of the same person. She has broken through the dimensional wall, nods in confirmation JPG, don't you feel strange? This is obviously not the method of an alien, right? Is there a kind of strange person who can summon a train? And it's a suspended train. If this is true, then our country's technology would have taken off long ago. Some people thought it was fake, Some were indifferent, some hypnotized themselves, and some joked that all living things are different, and it's better to be outside. But this is only a large part of the audience. Some smarter ones have guessed that something is wrong. And GZ, Fu Hua and other spectators did not say anything about it, just watching this scene silently. Exposed? But I didn't expect that little Sanai would get angry. Dan Heng looked at the angry Sanayuki and said with a surprised tone. Well, it's true. The little Sanayu in the past would not get angry easily. It should be because after entering the chat group, she has seen a lot and naturally grown up. Fu Hua, who was on the side, heard Dan Heng's words, and after a moment of silence, she spoke. Dan Heng was stunned when he heard Fu Hua's words, and then he fell silent. Although he knew that Fu Hua was not the martial Hua of Xian's Hao, Dan Heng could not help but think of Xian's Hao whenever he saw Fu Hua. Therefore, although Dan Heng had no opinion about Fu Hua, he chose to avoid her. Is it really okay to expose the matter of Wuhan like this? Chapter 248, Xing, Hu Tao and Qiana, the three martial spirits appear in the world. Mei, who was standing by, saw that the atmosphere had become a little cold, and quickly changed the subject. Will this not disturb the original plan? No, as fellow Taoist Xing had expected, the martial soul was meant to be exposed. Even if Xiao Sanayu doesn't use the martial soul, after a while, fellow Lingayu and the others will also use the power of the martial soul. Zhongli, who had been paying attention to the situation on the field, heard Mei's question and began to explain. The exposure of the martial soul is not only to show strength in front of the country, but also to pave the way for the popularization of the Divine Ring Master system. After all, this world has been upgraded and entered the small world. After a period of time in the future, this world will definitely experience a stage of spiritual energy recovery. At that time, it can be said to be a huge change, and the casualties will definitely not be small. Moreover, according to the evolution speed of the alien beasts, neither the hot weapons of this world nor the means of the aliens are enough to deal with the threat. Only the system of the Divine Ring Master can allow this world to survive the disaster while minimizing casualties. Fellow Taoist Zhang intends to take this opportunity to pave the way for the future, so that people can prepare to meet and deal with the upcoming crisis. At this point, Zhongli's heart was also shaken by Zhang Zihui's spirit of caring for the world. Is this the so-called Taoist Xianxi's mind? It is really admirable and worthy of respect. Thinking of the discussion with Zhang Zihui yesterday, Zhongli couldn't help but think of a joke he had seen in the group. In troubled times, Buddhism does not come into the world, and Liujin carries a sword to save the people. Although it is unknown how the Buddhist sect will respond when the spiritual energy is revived, Zhongli clearly felt the Taoist Hong Yin, who has the world in mind and saves the world, in Zhang Zihui. I see, if there is no problem, it's fine. It seems that Xiao Sanayu has hit it by mistake. Mie nodded after hearing Zhongli's words, and then breathed a sigh of relief. In this case, it is not a big deal for Xiao Sanayu to expose the power of the martial soul in advance. Anyway, it will be exposed sooner or later. While Zhongli and others continue to discuss the impact of the exposure of the martial soul on the current situation, the battle in the field was not over. At this moment, in the martial arts field, Sanayuki carried 6 black soul rings on his back, and the Star Dome train stood aside, ready to start the skills created by the train at any time. Xing, Walnut and Qiana were also waiting at leisure, watching Sanayuki's actions without looking away. The three of them were tense all over, ready to avoid Sanayuki's attack at any time. Even at this moment, Xing, Hu Tao and Qiana also had a faint light flashing. Immediately afterwards, the three of them had already emerged with their own martial spirits and spirit rings. Hu Tao, who just awakened last night, level 22 Divine Ring Master, all purple rings, martial spirit, soul staff, martial spirit, soul staff, lead the dead souls, lead the dead to the afterlife, born from Hu Tao's grand vision of leading the dead, the order of yin and yang, and the uncertainty of fate. Effect, can attack the soul, reduce the life force, and can directly cause great damage to the soul and lifespan. Evaluation. What is the black and white impermanence? Believe in yourself. After you grow up, you will be the real soul messenger. Xing, level 56 Divine Ring Master, all black rings, martial spirit, strange item trash can, martial spirit, strange item trash can extract items from the trash can. The items inside are unknown, born from Xing's love and desire for the trash can. As Xing's cognition thought, no one knows what is inside the trash can before opening it. Effect: various abilities, amplifications, items, and powers are drawn randomly. Some are good, some are bad. Comment: friend, this is a big gamble, isn't it? Kiana, level 48 Divine Ring Master, all black rings, Wuhan, fated cause, predetermined result. Wuhan, fated cause, predetermined result, dual guns, weapons of causality, born from the fate and causality that Kiana will inevitably end, constructed from the power of fate and causality itself, and contain the power of fate and causality. Effect: fated anchor, causality must hit. Sometimes, it is not the gun that will hit, but the result of being hit that determines the cause of the gun's firing. Comment: Miss Paramecium, I think the Star Hunter, Len must have a lot in common with you in the audience. All the audience saw this scene and immediately started a heated discussion. Oh, trash can spirit? Well, it really fits my inherent impression of Zing, haha, this world finally became what I wanted, haha, you finally stopped pretending? Showdown? I knew that this world must not be that simple, spirit, 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 I want it too, indeed, let alone you, I want it so badly. Apart from anything else, the special effects are simply amazing, so cool, shocked. There is such a relationship between Tang Jia Sancheo and Dodge, but Hu Tao is the only one with a purple spirit ring, a little out of place. Ha ha ha, you persecute Hu Tao every day, right? Kiana's is also very powerful. If I'm not mistaken, the gun spirit in her hand must be extraordinary. Seeing the three people in front of her start to show their spirits and spirit rings, Senyuki also had a solemn face. So far, she only knew the ability of Zing's spirit, and didn't know the spirits of the other two people she just met. Because of the initial acquaintance, coupled with the uncertainty of the spirit system, Senyuki didn't dare to be careless at all. What if the martial spirits of the two people on the opposite side have some strange abilities that can just target me? Would that mean I'm going to fail? Sanayuki's beautiful eyes moved slightly, thinking in her heart, her expression could not help but be slightly absent-minded. Opportunity. Kiana noticed Sanayuki's absent-mindedness, a gleam of light flashed in her eyes, and the fighting instinct of the Kaslana family instantly filled her brain. She raised the two guns in her hands suddenly, without aiming at all. Years of experience in using firearms allowed Kiana to start preparing to launch an attack directly based on instinct. Kiana did not hesitate, and after seizing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, she directly used her strongest power. The fourth black soul ring behind her flashed a faint light. The soul skill engraved in the soul ring was instantly activated. The fourth soul skill, energy storing attack. The name is very earthy, but the skill effect is very powerful. It can madly condense the energy in the owner's body and compress it into a small bullet. Coupled with the martial soul characteristics of the martial soul, destined cause, destined result. This bullet is a killer that is sure to hit. Chapter 249 Innate Abstract Holy Body Star. Continued from the last chapter, this bullet condensed by the fourth soul skill is a sure hit attack with a lock and a critical hit. As the soul skill was activated, the fourth soul ring behind Kiana gradually lit up, and the Hong-Kei energy in her body instantly rushed into the martial spirit in her hand. A bullet made entirely of Hong-Kei energy gradually condensed in the gun. The corrosive properties of Hong-Kei energy were all suppressed by Kiana's martial spirit, the destined cause and predetermined result of the dual guns. This corrosive force was transferred and gathered in the warhead, giving the bullet a powerful armor-piercing function. And Sanayuki, Walnut and Zing were also attracted by Kiana's actions at this moment. Sanayuki looked at Kiana, who was accumulating power, and her expression was startled, and then her eyes were stern. If she guessed correctly, Kiana's posture was obviously holding back a big move. Humph, Sanayu, is not a masochist, and she has no interest in standing still and taking the opponent's big move. Suddenly, Sanayuki's body tensed up, and he leaned forward slightly, ready to rush forward to interrupt Kiana's preparation. However, although the movement was not large, it was quite obvious to those who were paying attention. Zing only took a quick glance and saw what Sanayuki was thinking. Hey, little Sanayu, you still want to make trouble? You wish, I won't let you disturb Kiana, Zing said with a disdainful look on his face, and the 5 soul rings behind him lit up one by one. 5 rare object trash cans were instantly placed in front of Zing one by one. Watching this scene, all the audience were speechless. This ability, there is an indescribable feeling. It's really worthy of being Zing. Your persistence in the trash can has never let me down. Yes, You are worthy of being the king of trash cans, but why does this trash can always give me the feeling that it is a treasure chest? Friend, you are not alone. Fuck, treasure chest? There is such a good thing? Xingbao, you can't control this trash can, so let me, your uncle, do it. I can control it. Speaking of which, the style of this battle is really getting more and more abstract, but Xing is okay, she has never changed, haha. Xing has completely awakened her nature, an innate abstract holy body. After she summoned 5 treasure chests, the soul ring seemed to be a little dimmer. Why does it feel like the skill isn't calling time, huh? What you said seems to be true. In that case, 1 soul ring in 1 jar? I just don't know how long the cooling period is. Hiss, it feels a bit like a card drawing mechanism. Speaking of which, stop talking. My liver has already been fed to the dog. Where is 1 enema? Just throw them all away. However, Sanayuki looked at the trash cans, and her expression did not relax. Instead, it became more solemn. Sanayuki was not surprised by the 5 strange trash cans summoned by Xing. After exploring during this period, she was already familiar with Xing's martial spirit. Xing's strange trash can draw out various treasures from the trash can. Although not many of those outrageous things were drawn, they did appear. For example, some time ago, when Balaberg was fighting the boss, Xing's luck exploded and he directly drew an imaginary kinetic antimatter star destroyer cannon from the strange trash can, and one shot destroyed the huge creation engine. Although the imaginary kinetic antimatter star destroyer cannon was later confiscated by GZ, from this incident, we can already see the power of this strange trash can martial spirit. However, thinking of the flaws of this martial spirit, Sanayuki's originally nervous expression was slightly relieved. Yes, Xing's strange trash can spirit is indeed very powerful, but it is not without flaws. This spirit not only has flaws, but also has 2 flaws. The first flaw is that what you draw depends entirely on luck, and there is no guarantee mechanism. Even Xing himself cannot be exempted from this rule. Therefore, only the European emperor can be king, and the non-Europeans can only cry silently. The second flaw is that within a day, you can only get trash cans with a number of your soul rings. In other words, today Xing can only draw 5 trash cans. Although you can only choose 5 trash cans, Sanayuki knows very well that as long as you haven't drawn all the trash cans, then with the uncertainty of Xing's spirit, there is really a possibility of turning over. After all, this spirit, although there are a lot of restrictions, it is really unreasonable. However, just when Xing was about to turn over the trash can, the corners of Xiao Sanayu's mouth suddenly rose slightly. Although according to the law of conservation of luck, Xing, after drawing the Star Destroyer, your luck should have declined, but it's better to be safe than sorry, isn't it? So Xing, I didn't say this time that I won't interrupt you from rummaging through the trash can. Kill him, Stardome Train JPG. As Sanayuki's command fell, the train crashed into Xing on the opposite side with a woohoo sound. Sanayuki did not use her soul skills. After all, relying solely on the power of the train itself was enough to bring her victory. In fact, once the soul skills are used, the power will exceed the limit. Little Sanayu, you are not a man of honor. Didn't you say that you won't disturb me during the card drawing period? Xing looked at Sanayuki's actions and suddenly said angrily. Sanayuki rolled his eyes and ignored Xing's words. Come on, you are really a motorcycle. We are opponents now. Who'll give you time to prepare? Damn, can't she be given an invincible defense during the card drawing period? The Kamen Rider did a good job in this regard. While complaining, Xing quickly opened the lid of the trash can in his hand, reached in directly, and took out the things inside. The lottery of the rare items in the trash can. Start? The first one, the banana peel, is useless. The second one, the fruit knife, is useless. The third one, the blue and white porcelain vase, is useless. The fourth one, the yellow square oil block, is useless. The last one, the skill, flash, is somewhat useful. Destined to be a poor man. Xing seemed to be able to see that such a title had fallen on his head without knowing when. However, looking at the 5 things in his hand, Xing had no time to feel sad for his poor luck. He didn't even have time to check the introduction of the skills, and the train was already approaching Xing's position. Seeing this, Xing hurriedly used the flash skill he had just obtained, preparing to use the ability of flash to escape the attack of the train. Chapter 250, Dramatic Reversal. Xing and March 7th are eliminated. A flash of white light passed by, and Xing immediately disappeared from the spot and appeared in another place. But, what the hell, this position that can only move 10 meters is nothing. And it was actually randomly teleported. In my case, can it be considered as actively delivering goods to the door? At this moment, looking at the train that was gradually getting bigger in front of her, the light in Xing's beautiful eyes gradually dimmed. It's over, I'm going to send it. I succeeded in playing myself to death. Then, with a crisp sound, the train hit Xing's body. But with a flash of white light, Xing, who should have been injured, now stood intact in the same place, but as long as you observe carefully, you can find that a mark on the back of her hand has been quietly broken. Boundary mark. This Luotian Dageo, limited game props, will automatically generate defense to resist the attack if it encounters an attack that exceeds the limit or is fatal, but once it is used, it means that you will be eliminated from this game. Note, this prop is provided by Doraemon, and now, with the breaking of the boundary mark, it means that a fact has become a foregone conclusion. Xing, eliminated. The eliminated Xing walked to the side slowly and hid in the corner silently, and began to emit low pressure all over his body. After eliminating Xing, March 7 ignored the distraught Xing, and then controlled the train to turn and drive to Kiana's position again. I will not interrupt your spellcasting. I am the winner of this elimination match. March 7 muttered to herself excitedly. She could feel that if Kiana's attack was successfully charged, it would probably have an impact on her. Therefore, March 7 naturally did not want Kiana to charge successfully. However, as the saying goes, plans cannot keep up with changes in the end. It was said that it was too late. Just when March 7 controlled the train to turn, the bullet in Kiana's gun had already condensed into shape. Feeling that the bullet was successfully condensed, Kiana pulled the trigger without hesitation. Pa! With a crisp sound. A bullet condensed by Kiana, carrying violent energy. In an instant, it flew out of the muzzle of Kiana's gun and rushed straight towards March 7. The speed of this bullet was extremely fast. As soon as it left the muzzle, it seemed to have crossed time and space and immediately came in front of March 7. At this moment, March 7 was at a time when his old strength had just gone and his new strength had not yet been born. Before March 7 had just directed the train to turn and had come to his senses, the gunshot had already sounded. The sudden bullet shot by Kiana was clearly imprinted on March 7's snow-white forehead. With a flash of white light, March 7 stood intact with the extremely conspicuous red mark on his head. However, the disappearance of the mark on his hand showed that Kiana's attack was not without effect, but had actually played a role. March 7, out. Woo. March 7 silently shed tears in his heart. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have been so reckless. Why did I forget to add a shield to myself? With reluctance and annoyance, Sanayuki exuded a sad breath, silently came to Xing's side, and slowly squatted down. Feeling someone coming next to him, Xing silently moved to the side, leaving a space for Sanayuki. This battle that seemed to have lasted for a long time actually didn't last very long. Before everyone could react, it was over in a flash. Jizu looked at Sanayuki and Xing, who were in a corner, and shook her head speechlessly. Little Sanayu, I didn't expect you to be so reckless now. It seems that you have completely become arrogant after Billabong. It's time to arrange special training for you. If you keep this mentality in the future, if you encounter danger, you won't know how you died. I thought you could win, but I didn't expect it. Alistan Hen looked at the two companions at the moment, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly involuntarily. It's so fun to see the lively and cheerful little Sanayu become like this. Dan Heng, who was possessed by joy, thought to himself. There's no need to be so disappointed, after all, it's just a win or loss in a game. Mei looked at the little Sanayu and Xing and said reluctantly. For some reason, she always felt an indescribable pity when she saw little Sanayu like this. Sanayuki's homologue, fake. Alicia, yes, what's going on? Hey, haha, Mei, don't worry too much. Sanayu didn't become like this because of the loss in the game. After hearing Mei's words, Lao Yang glanced at Sanayuki, smiled and waved his hand. As an elder who has been with Sanayuki for so long, he knows Sanayuki's current thoughts very well. She just feels that she is too wild, her performance is not normal, and she feels that she can't face people, so she becomes like this. She will be fine after a while, is that the reason? After listening to Lao Yang's words, Mei nodded thoughtfully, and then turned her attention back to the competition field. After all, Kiana will participate in the next competition. At the same time, Zhongli also came back to his senses from the surprise that his own Hall Master actually survived to the final battle. I really didn't expect that with the Hall Master's level, he could survive to the end of this game. But in the next battle, he can't survive anymore. I don't expect you to win, as long as you don't get hurt. Zhongli, the old father, who has a clear understanding of his own Hall Master and never expects Hu Tao to win, but only hopes that Hu Tao will not get hurt, muttered slowly in his heart while moving his eyes to the martial arts arena. Just this one look, Zhongli was stunned, and a strange look rarely appeared on his face, which had always been calm. What was beyond Zhongli's expectation was that Hu Tao actually defeated Qiana, and won so dramatically. In the martial arts arena. In the current arena, the two strongest players of the original four have been eliminated, leaving only Kurumi and Qiana facing each other. Hey, Kurumi, just admit defeat. You can't beat me, and I don't want to hurt you. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.